Belarus once these exercises were over. It's now clear they'll stay indefinitely due to what Minsk calls the tension around its borders. It's another strong signal that Moscow is not prepared to blink in this increasingly tense standoff with the West, even as the US and Britain in particular warn of dire sanctions in the event of any invasion. Here in Ukraine itself, there's no panic, but people are making more preparations for the worst.
Now to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty. 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. Let's start with some cricket. Sri Lanka's beaten Australia at the MCG in the final T20 match of the series. The tourists reached their target of 155 with just the one ball to spare. Australian batsman Matthew Wade says a poor start with the bat hurt them.
Chasing our tail a little bit through the middle overs there, and I felt like we got a competitive score on the board. We know in the MCG the wicket can skid on a little bit at night and get a bit better. It looked at it might have done that as well. So, yeah, I thought we hung in there really nicely. Those games kind of go your way, they don't.
The Aussies still won the series 4-1. To football, and Erin Phillips has avoided a serious knee injury, but it's not yet clear on when she'll return for the Crows, who enjoyed a 40-point win against GWS on Saturday. Meantime, the Crows men and women power men will also train today as they prepare for their practice matches on Friday. To basketball, the Adelaide 36ers are back on the winners list after coming from behind to beat Cairns 82-71. The result means the Sixers are up to 7th on the NBL table. 2 games in the EPL, with Manchester United keeping its hopes of a top 4 finish well and truly alive after a 4-2 victory against Leeds. Wolverhampton, meantime, is up to 7th after beating Leicester 2-1. And Australian golfer Hannah Green has become the first woman to win a mixed-gender pro golf tournament, which she won in Victoria. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Cloudy 23 today, sunny tomorrow 28, Wednesday sunny 32. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6:05. Good morning to you. Welcome to 5AA Breakfast on this Monday morning. The first Monday morning of the state election campaign prop. We'll be getting into all that this morning, including chats with both the prospective leaders. The Premier, Stephen Marshall, will join us after 8 o'clock today. Peter Malinauskas after 7:30. They both launched their campaigns on the weekend. We'll talk to them about these early days of the campaign a little bit later in the morning. We're going to catch up with a representative from the association that represents Ukrainians in the South Australia too. They held a rally on the steps of Parliament yesterday, calling on the state government to make a statement in solidarity with Ukrainians, given the ongoing escalation and potential for conflict in that part of the world. So we'll talk about that. We're crossing to the US, and I imagine that will be some of the subject of conversation just before 7 o'clock today. And, of course, the host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, after 8:30. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Yep, it's all happening today. Absolutely jam-packed show. Labor had their campaign launch yesterday. Not sure when the Liberals are having theirs. Probably this coming weekend, you'd think. You wouldn't want to do it 2 weeks before the election. And this Saturday coming will be 3 weeks before the election. Just watching earlier on the TV, big happy joyful scenes in Sydney with international flights kicking off today as well. Wonder what people think about that. Is everyone happy that this is happening? Personally, I think it's yet another sign that things are getting back to normal. I think it's cause for celebration.
I struggle to, if you're concerned about catching COVID, it doesn't really worry me whether, someone's bringing it from Singapore or from Sydney or from Semaphore.
Are we? Yeah, exactly. Aren't we at the point now where if you're really genuinely worried about catching COVID, just don't do stuff?
Yep.
Like if you are someone who is really fearful of it, don't go to restaurants. Don't go to crowded front bars. Maybe if you do want to go out, go and have dinner at a beer garden or something like that, but avoid crowded spaces. Don't go to the theatre.
Yeah, restrictions existed to prevent overcrowding in hospitals, and we've passed the peak, and that hasn't happened.
I was really puzzled on Friday when Nicola Spurrier said we're not at a point yet where we can have 100% crowds at the football. Did you see that?
Yeah, they're in the city in Melbourne.
Why not? What's the difference? We're going to be like the last sort of SA Health risk looking like those Japanese soldiers who they found in Micronesia in 1949 who still had the headbands
Later,
on.
1972, I think the last one was found.
You're kidding?
Yeah, it was something crazy like that.
You're kidding?
Yeah, it was something stupid. I'll look it up in a moment.
1972?
But guy's name was Hero. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
What was he in his 80s? And he was just sitting there with his fixed bayonet waiting to attack.
Yeah. No, there was a guy in one of the islands of the Philippines that was still doing ongoing operations. So he was disrupting the local food supply chain, poisoning cows.
Really?
Yeah, blowing up trucks, doing all sorts of things. It wasn't until a Japanese backpacker came through and showed him pictures and stuff because he'd heard rumours about him. This young guy, this young hippie Japanese guy went, oh, no, that was over decades ago. The guy finally got it. Anyway, yeah, that's what South Australia's going to be like.
Have you heard about the John Frum cult in Vanuatu?
No.
Oh, the John Frum cult's good. So this group of very remote Ni Vanuatu, Indigenous Vanuatu folk, such a great country. Many years ago, they were contacted by missionaries, and they're all quite devout Christians of the Pentecostalist ilk. They believed that Christ would one day return. But during World War II, there was a guy called John Frum who parachuted out of a plane and landed there. I'm not sure if he survived or not.
What, he became the subject of like a religion?
They believe that he was Christ. And
right.
And they've got all of his like military tags, all his ID tags and everything, and they've turned them into this religion. And like they've got like crucifixes that have got his GI number on them and everything else, and they're totally convinced that this guy called John Frum was Jesus. And to this day, the John Frum cult still believes that John Frum was the second coming of Christ.
The guy I've read a little bit about, Hiro Onada, was March 1974. Actually undersold how long he stayed there.
1974?
Nearly 30 years after the war ended. But he was only the second longest. Tiro Nakamura was December 1974. They're interesting stories if anyone wants to read about them anyway.
But we digress.
Yeah, have you got any Corflute election poster observations for the weekend? Because I'm going to speak about area in the areas. I did some walks and driving around on the weekend, not with the express purpose of looking at Corflutes, that mind you, but it's a byproduct of the times we're living in. So sort of, I'm thinking in areas probably like Lee, which is sort of Semaphore, West Lakes, Tennyson, Seaton, Royal Park kind of area. My seat is Colton, that's Grange and Fulham, Henley Beach. Goes up to Lockleys, and then beyond Lockleys when you get to sort of West Torrens, which is Brooklyn Park, Mile End, up Henley Beach Road, as you say, you're driving up towards the city. Drive I do pretty regularly. I reckon in those three seats in my area, Labor would have put up more posters by about a ratio of 5-1 ahead of the Liberals in those areas. Yeah. Now, so I want to ask you and everyone, is that the case where you live? And if it's is it a sign of Liberals kind of were an anti-Corflute? They were knocking around this idea of not having them. So are they practicing what they preach? Or is it a sign that donors are a little bit harder to come by?
I think part of it would be volunteers are harder to come by for the Libs. Like the sort of young Labor / trade union people. Labor's always had a much bigger base of grunts who are prepared to get out and do that sort of stuff.
But I don't remember it being this big a discrepancy before. Usually it's almost 1-for-1 on polls. They'll be next to each other.
I've spent a large part of the weekend being dad's taxi, driving kids around to parties and so forth. And I noticed Saturday night in the city, it feels like Rachel Sanderson and Lucy Hood's poster assault is level pegging and hugely energetic, suggesting that it is well and truly a ding-dong tussle in the seat of Adelaide. One thing I did notice was the way the pose of all of the Labor candidates and also Peter Malinowskis. Well, one thing I would say, I reckon there are stacks of Peter Malinowskis posters.
Yes.
Labor seems to think that he himself is a vote winner and it's almost a presidential type approach. I haven't seen a single standalone Stephen Marshall poster.
I've seen him with candidates, but no standalones.
But there's heaps and heaps of posters everywhere saying Peter Malinowskis. The other thing that I've noticed is the way those photographs are framed. They're all looking off into the distance. They're not looking straight at the camera.
Yep.
They're looking off on this 45-degree angle. And I actually reckon they ripped the idea off from the 1996 Tony Blair election poster, which was just a picture of Blair with his hands in his pockets and his sleeves rolled up, looking off on this 45-degree angle. And the slogan was, "Because Britain deserves better." But it was sort of like, it's almost like the old Soviet angle, looking forward to, the Soviet posters.
Yeah, it is.
All the soldiers looking off into the, brave revolutionary future.
I'm sure that's just what they're going for. The first weekend of
I
the
don't
campaign
reckon
starting.
Lithuanian Peter Malinowskis would have been flattered with that comparison, but he'd copped the Tony Blair one.
I wouldn't have thought. 13 minutes after 6, as we mentioned, international borders reopened to Australia today. The Prime Minister was making the announcement, welcoming back our arrivals at Melbourne Airport yesterday, and it's where we head now and find Christina Hearn, who's covering it for the Today Show. Christine, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
When's the first flight arriving?
We've got a Singapore flight, SQ227, so it's due to touch down at 8:15 this morning, so it's running a couple of minutes early, but when those international passengers hop off the plane, go through the gates here at Melbourne Airport, they will be treated to some goodie bags, including a little stuffed penguin, in case they want to head down to the Phillip Island and see the penguin parade. They've got some other kind of food vouchers on offer, some well-known chefs, and a jazz band as soon as they walk through the gates.
Well, that's a nice way to be welcomed into the country. I was at Melbourne Airport probably going back a month or so, and I was just stunned by how quiet it felt. One of the busiest airports in Australia, but it felt like a ghost town. Is there any sign of it returning to normal with the start of international flights today? Is there starting to get a bit of foot traffic through?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's much better than it was a couple of months ago. I've been here so many times when it was just basically tumbleweeds, a ghost town. It was hard to believe that this is one of the busiest airports. We've got a lot more action happening today, obviously, just even workers out, someone, cleaning the floors in front of me, getting everyone kind of ready for these first international arrivals. But to put it in perspective, the airport's still only running at about 50% capacity. The head of the Melbourne Airport says also, don't expect a flood of international arrivals, more like a trickle. There was about 36,000 international passengers travelling through Melbourne Airport pre-pandemic. For the first week at least, that's going to be down to 6,000. So don't expect a huge amount of international tourists, but look, these are so welcome. Welcome back to Melbourne. And what is fantastic news is those tourism operators that have done it so tough, for the first time since early 2020, they are starting to get bookings from international tourists.
Great news. Good stuff. Christina Hearn there from the Today Show in Melbourne. Thanks very much for that report.
Adelaide's only flight today from international flight will come from Singapore. That'll land just after 9 o'clock. And the first one's just happened, in fact, as we've been speaking. First flight into Sydney has touched down from LA. So borders are open. That said, we've had flights coming internationally, but these are those that now allow unfettered access from travellers, so long as you're, unfettered by the 2022 definition, which means fully vaccinated and, willing to comply.
Yes.
16 after 6 news headlines in a moment.
Calvary Adelaide Hospital is there when you need it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Calvary Adelaide Hospital is the largest private emergency department in South Australia, and on-call specialists from every area on site or nearby to ensure you are treated when it's needed. Throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, Calvary Adelaide Emergency Department has implemented strict measures to ensure that your care and well-being is our #1 priority. You're in safe hands at Calvary Adelaide Hospital, corner of Pulteney and Angus Street City.
It's value the Australian way at Coles with great fresh specials this week. Like juicy, loose red seedless grapes, 100% Aussie and just $4 a kilo. This week at Coles. Offer ends Thursday.
For 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. And right now, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 30 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 19 ZB Commodores from $23,990, all with a balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
There's loads of benefits that come with being an RAA member.
Yeah, right now you'll save 4 cents per litre per day on fuel at EG and Caltex, Woolworths Fuel and their convenience stores.
Considering the price of petrol at the moment, that's a huge benefit. Save 4 cents per litre per day on fuel.
There's no minimum spend or additional purchase required either. So you don't have to buy half a dozen chocolate bars, you don't have to buy bags of chips and all that kind of stuff just to get your 4 cents off per litre.
Just show your My RAA app or flash your RAA card at one of 35 participating stores across SA to save.
This offer is only available for a limited time, so make the most of it. Search RAA member benefits for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
18 minutes after 6, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line with your thoughts as well. Maybe your first weekend election campaign observations. Who's winning the Caulfield Battle in your part of Adelaide? Sounds like it's Labor by a street out west, and David suggested inner south might be a bit like that as well.
I got a great text from Sue, who is a inner south resident, who said how hypocritical that the Greens are using corflutes. You can't recycle them; they're landfill. Excellent point.
They should be biodegradable.
How many dolphins have to die choking on a Robert Sims poster when it's eventually buried there at the Wingfield dump and makes its way out through a pipe into the St Vincent Gulf?
Well, what did Lennon say about omelettes and eggs? You know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you want to get voted into the upper house, you've got to kill a few sea lions.
Time for the news headlines on this Monday morning.
I think that was the quote, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that. Queen Elizabeth has tested positive for COVID. We figured this might be the case, given how coy that Buckingham Palace had been. They've now made an official statement saying that the good news is this: she's only experiencing mild cold-like symptoms. She's triple vaccinated, 95 years old, of course. And this is this as much as saying cold and light and mild symptoms gives you a cause for hope and optimism. She's going to continue light duties.
Yeah.
She's not even having time off.
No.
So that's good news.
Well, the last photo of her was only 2 days ago, wasn't it? Or was it last Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah. Well, there was all those pictures of her with Charles after he'd got it.
Yeah, but then she met with a couple of ex-servicemen or something a few days ago.
Yeah, right.
There was some sort of reception that she hosted. But yeah, it is a huge concern because obviously the older you are, the more at risk you are from it. Even if you are in rude health, you look at the figures for people who sadly have lost their lives, and overwhelmingly a lot of them are in their 80s and 90s. But she's getting the best medical care imaginable, you'd have to think. And good to hear that she's been quite stoic about it.
The US Vice President admits there is a real possibility of war in Europe if Russia invades Ukraine. She's told the Munich Security Conference it is in the best interest of all if there is a diplomatic end to the crisis. Trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe will be held today to try and diffuse tensions. Kamala Harris says there is a high chance of conflict.
Let's really take a moment to understand the significance of what we're talking about. It's been over 70 years. And through those 70 years, as I mentioned yesterday, there has been peace and security. We are talking about the real possibility of war in Europe.
Australia's international border is reopening is being described as a first step in placing the country back on the map. As of today, all fully vaccinated travellers will be allowed into the country without an exemption. First time in almost 2 years. Airports Association Chief Executive James Goodwin says there won't be an immediate return to normal.
We've lost half the number of airlines that were flying to Australia before the pandemic. So we really need to say to them we are open, and so that they will start putting Australia back on their route destination list. And that's the important step before we can start seeing increasing numbers of travellers.
And as we've been mentioning, the South Australian election campaign kicked off over the weekend. The government has officially moved into caretaker mode. Both Stephen Marshall and Peter Malinauskas will be on a little bit later this morning to begin our 4-week coverage of the campaign, which includes a special repurposing of Breaking at 8 starting today. We're going to do an Election at 8 segment each and every day on the program to get you across what's happening, who said what, where they were, what they've promised, and what it all means. That'll be after 8 each and every day.
Part of our thinking with that is that obviously a lot of the stories that come our way over the next 4 weeks are going to be of an election bent. There'll be people that will be talking to off-air. I spoke to a couple of people who could play a key role over the weekend yesterday, and they've got their views on how things are likely to pan out. But there's going to be so much going on that we thought it'd be a good service for you, our beloved listeners, to have a dedicated spot for the 20 days that we're here in the lead up to the election. So and of course election night as well.
Exactly right. So if you want to get across it and feel like you need to check in, make sure after 8 o'clock each and every morning we'll have you covered on that front. The Prime Minister says China's move to point a laser at an Australian Air Force plane is an act of intimidation. Chinese Navy ship sailing off of northern Australia shunned the military-grade laser at the RAAF surveillance flight on Thursday. Now, look,
it's pretty juvenile, isn't it?
Completely. Well, it's pathetic. It's potentially more than juvenile.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And there is military application for lasers. It's not like so someone was just tooling around on the deck of a Chinese Navy vessel. But the Arafura Sea, we're talking Australian waters here. This is not something that happened in the.
That's the sea between Darwin and Timor.
That's right. Yeah, this is not something that took place in the Taiwan Straits. This is in our neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a significant story, and it's the first sort of clash of this kind that I can recall in a long time.
They don't give a toss to China, do they?
No,
they just total law unto themselves.
No,
same as Russia. No wonder they get on so well.
Yeah, well, that's the danger, isn't it? They've been
They're
pushed
like
together.
The crap blokes you went to school with, aren't they?
They inevitably found each other.
Yeah. Just the bullies who go around persecuting all the nice people during recess time and lunch.
Pretty much. 24 minutes after 6. The weather today, 15.7 outside. I got a jumper on. It was coolish. Top of just 23 today, which actually does feel, it's not. It's kind of mild, but it feels cold given what we've had.
I don't feel that cold. You sure you're all right, mate?
Yeah, I think I'm all right. You know me, though. I just dressed to the number. I don't know how
smell.
Yeah, it's a persistent cough. 15.7. So it's pretty cool out there at the moment. Top of 23, 28 tomorrow, and the rest of the week is summer. 32 on Wednesday, 30 Thursday, 31 Friday, 32 Saturday, and 31 on Sunday.
Australia's making positive energy, and there's more on the way. It's all part of our plan to reach net zero by 2050. We're rolling out rooftop solar at record levels, expanding snowy hydro, so it's the biggest battery in the Southern Hemisphere, and investing billions in projects like hydrogen hubs and seaweed for feed, which means more jobs and even less emissions, helping us reach net zero by 2050. Find out more at positiveenergy.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Do you think a concert pianist needs a builder's licence? No. Does a chartered accountant need one? Nah. Okay, then what about a house inspector? This will surprise you. Right now, there are no regulations in the industry that say you must be a builder to become a house inspector. Mike Pearl from House Inspect Australia is a third-generation licensed builder, and his team is the most qualified team in Australia for house inspections. It's the biggest purchase decision of your life. Don't risk it. Go to houseinspectaustralia.com.au.
She's like dying.
Explore Australia's biggest arts festival at Adelaide Fringe from the 18th of February to the 20th of March. With over 1,000 shows, act now and get your tickets. Supported by principal partner Bank SA. Search Adelaide Fringe today.
Hi, Daisy Pearce here. Signing up an apprentice or trainee is easy when you partner with MEGT, your local apprenticeship experts. MEGT is Australia's largest and only national apprenticeship network provider. They've been in it for the long haul since 1982 and make the whole sign-up process easy. You could even be eligible for government incentives. Team up with the best in the business. MEGT, your local apprenticeship experts. Call them now on 13 63 48 or visit meg.com.au.
Ever heard of an ant coffin? Sounds funny, right? But having ants all over your place is no joke. The ant coffin from Termibusters is an effective way to rid yourself of black ants. It's easy and safe to use. Well, unless you're an ant. The ant coffin contains an environmentally friendly bait that worker ants take back to the colony. Then it's game over. Order your ant coffin now. Visit termibusters.com.au. termibusters.com.au.
It's incredible. Over 75% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to live the dream in beautiful Somerton Park with 2 Scott Salisbury homes up for grabs. There's a catalogue full of prizes to win, including luxury cars and amazing getaways. Tickets won't last long. Join the fight and get yours today at homelottery.com.au. Thank you for your support. Licence M141133.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors, gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
28 minutes after 6. Good text coming through early on observations about corflutes and where the posters are and who's winning that battle in your neck of the woods. If you've got some intel for us, call in 8223 0000. In the meantime, we're going to talk sport with Tom Wren. All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10 years warranty, 10 years cap price servicing in Agostino Mitsubishi. Morning, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Fellas, winners and losers for Monday. I'm going to start with, I think, the goal of the season in the A-League, maybe in any soccer league around the world. It came for Western United last night. Ben Garuccio, it was a perler.
I don't think I've got it, Rennie.
No, that's okay. It was extraordinary, though. Over the back of the head, scorpion-type kick, one of the best you'll see.
It was extraordinary.
A bit like old Higuita. Remember him?
Yes.
Higuita, the Colombian goalkeeper.
It was like that, except at the other end.
Yeah, exactly. It was the right end.
Yeah, but
but the Colombian goalie used to take the kicks. He used to do the scorpion kicks.
Yeah, no, I know. But this happened. This was like literally in the opposing penalty box.
Oh, okay.
So, like in an attempt to score.
I'm with you.
Brilliant goal.
Unbelievable. And again, it might win. I think Riley McGree might have won when he was at Newcastle at his stint there for a scorpion kick, won the best goal in the world. This has got another chance.
And he hadn't scored for 4 years, Will, which makes it even more incredible.
He's been waiting for this opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So well done to him. My other big winner from the weekend, Hannah Green. She's the first female to win a mixed event, if you like. So a pro event with men and women. Now, adjusted tees, but nonetheless, incredible performance from her. She won the Vic Open last week. She's playing some great golf at the moment. That was in New South Wales, so well done to Hannah Green. I'm going to give the Crows another tick. They bounced back to the winners list in a big way, and they kept GWS to no goals, so a great effort. But on the flip side, Erin Phillips, unfortunately, that's one of my losers for the weekend, albeit it seems like she's avoided a serious ACL injury, but a sprained knee, so they're going to need her back for the final, so that's disappointing. And then my other loser for the weekend was this poor jockey that won the KI Cup, but then this happened after the race.
Splash some cash, a length and a half. Aussie Sojourn motoring home. Splash some cash is going to do it. And Huxtable rides his first KI Cup winner on his home deck. And unfortunately, he's come off after the line in a sensation, but he's won the race with Splash Some Cash.
Well, it turns out, racing.com with that audio, thanks for that. Justin Huxtable was in the stirrups, went to stand up and give the salute to the crowd, but in doing so, fell off the horse. And luckily wasn't trampled on, but the stewards took a pretty dim view, suspended for 3 weeks.
An overzealous celebration.
Can't ride for 3 weeks.
But did he still win the race?
He still wins the race because he fell off after the winning post. If it happened beforehand, then you're right, David. He loses the race, and that would make owners and connections and bettors furious, but still wins the race because it happened after he crossed the finish line.
Steep price to pay for a bit of celebration. Good on you, Rennie.
Good stuff, boys.
Excellent, Tom.
6:35 5AA News Time. Back in a moment.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Cloudy and 23 today with the 6:30 News. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
The Queen has tested positive for COVID, but her symptoms are being described as mild. Seven's Hugh Whitfield is in London.
A statement came out overnight, Australian time, saying Buckingham Palace confirmed that the Queen has today tested positive for COVID. Her Majesty is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor over the coming week. She will continue to receive medical attention and will follow all the appropriate guidelines. Now, that would suggest that she is self-isolating and is in the care of the royal physicians. We are also told with those light duties that is likely to include the Queen continuing to receive state business in those red boxes that she receives every day.
And Justin Bieber has tested positive for COVID, the diagnosis coming the day after the singer kicked off his US tour. The first international flight carrying tourists has touched down from Los Angeles in Sydney. Fully vaccinated visitors can now enter Australia without needing to quarantine for the first time in almost 2 years. Almost 60 flights are scheduled to land across the country, including from Canada, Japan and the UK. But Tourism and Transport Forum Chief Executive Margie Osmond has told Today it will take a while for travel to return to pre-pandemic levels.
I think the issue for us is we've got to build up our aviation capacity. Lovely to see these big birds landing this morning, but we need a lot more of them.
2 teenagers have been arrested after allegedly graffitiing a church in the CBD. The church on the corner of Morphett Road and North Terrace was targeted just after midnight. A 17-year-old boy from Frueville and 19-year-old man from North Plympton have been charged and bailed to front court in the coming months. The US Vice President admits there's a real possibility of war in Europe if Russia invades Ukraine. Kamala Harris has told the Munich Security Conference it's in everyone's best interest that there is a diplomatic end to the crisis. She says there is a high chance of conflict.
Let's really take a moment to understand the significance of what we're talking about. It's been over 70 years. And through those 70 years, as I mentioned yesterday, there has been peace and security. We are talking about the real possibility of war in Europe.
Trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe will be held today in an effort to diffuse tensions. Australia's spy and intelligence agency ASIO is recruiting. Nine's Brian Wilson explains.
The name's Bond, James Bond.
If you see yourself as a modern-day James Bond, ASIO is in need of intelligence officers and analysts. Director General of Security Mike Burgess says espionage and foreign interference on democracy within Australia has now overtaken terrorism as the nation's main security concern. People from all walks of life are encouraged to apply, with the agency offering a starting salary of around $87,000.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Australia has fallen just short of a clean sweep in its T20 series against Sri Lanka after going down by 5 wickets in the 5th and final T20 match at the MCG. The Aussies reached 6 for 154 from their 20 overs. Matt Wade top scoring with an impressive 43 off only 27 balls. But it wasn't quite enough as the tourists reached the target with 1 ball to spare. The Adelaide 36ers have kept their playoff hopes alive after recording a come-from-behind win against the Cairns Taipans. The Sixers scored only 9 points in the first quarter but recovered to win by 11. Adelaide will be hoping Erin Phillips will be okay to return for finals despite spraining her knee in Saturday's 40-point win against GWS. There were fears she'd ruptured her ACL, but thankfully it's not that serious, and there is still hope she can play a big part in the Crows' push for a flag. Australian golfer Hannah Green has created history, becoming the first woman to win a mixed gender pro golf tournament. She finished 4 shots clear of second place after hitting a 5-under par 66 in the final round at Barooga in New South Wales. Green says she hopes many more female players can follow in her footsteps.
It feels great. It's really nice to be the first person, especially to win in Australia. So hopefully this isn't the first time a female wins a mixed event, and hopefully more females can get their name on this trophy too.
The Winter Olympics have wrapped up. Australia finished 18th on the medal tally with 1 gold, 2 silver and a bronze. And Manchester United has beaten Leeds 4-2 in the EPL, while Wolverhampton got over Leicester 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
23 today and cloudy, sunny tomorrow 28, Wednesday sunny 32. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 to 7. We're going to get some of your texts on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line in a moment. There are some thoughts coming through on poster palooza as the cornflakes went up over the weekend to start the election campaign. But first, we've got your chance to explore Australia's biggest arts festival at the Adelaide Fringe. Give us a call now if you saw 9 News last night and you've got the daily feature show. Gluttony is back in Rymel Park for 2022, and you can get your tickets for the biggest shows this Fringe at gluttony.net.au or search Adelaide Fringe today. If you watch 9 News, there'll be a code word if you've got it. You are the winner. 8223 0055 is the number to call.
A lot of messages here on the old Telstra Store Mount Barker text line about the election posters that have popped up like Topsy. What is Topsy? Must be a plant.
I'm not sure.
If something grows like Topsy, it's a quick poser there for our production crew. They're working on it as we speak. What is Topsy? Tom on the text line says, guys, the ALP is clearly invested way too much compared to the Liberals for posters, all types, sizes, and they are everywhere. However, the fact that the ALP posters don't look directly at the camera doesn't seem right because trust is built through eye contact. That's an interesting point. One here says, come to Bragg and Hartley, which are in the northeast of our fair town.
So you're looking at sort of Campbelltown,
Glyn,
Felixstowe,
Marden, around that way.
Then Bragg's more, Glenside through to Green Hill and Burnside.
Get up there to Little Italy. Pop into Mikado and maybe go to Nino's Small Goods and get some guanciale while you're there. Apparently there's a lot of posters of Chapman, Tarzia and a solo poster of Stephen Marshall. Wally the Walnut says that Malley should have used his swimming pool picture on the cornflakes. That'll get votes, he says. Then again, maybe not. Ian says if the Labor candidates all had one arm pointing out, the posters would have the Colonel Light look.
They would a bit, wouldn't they?
Yeah, vision. What about that? Just the old left. Is it left or right hand that Colonel Light's got out? One here from Anne in Salisbury says, Dave and Will, Labor posters will put up directly out the front of our house on Friday night at around 1 o'clock in the morning. They were doing it so loudly we were woken. I reckon that might have
that's pretty ordinary.
Galvanised Anne's vote there.
Good way to win over people.
Not that it'll matter much in Salisbury for the ALP, though, Anne. And Max in Beaumont says, ask Peter Malinauskas if they're so worried about the Crows' location, then if they win, why not use Parliament to carve out the aquatic centre and allow the Crows to have their original plan? It would save the taxpayers a lot of money. It would, but I tell you what, you wouldn't be doing that if you want to win the state seat of Adelaide. I wouldn't have thought. And to your point, Will, Graham says, if Australia had pointed a laser at a Chinese plane, it would have created a hell of a lot more issues with friends like these. Who needs enemies?
Do we have lasers? Greg Sheridan wrote an interesting piece in the Oz this morning about our capacity and capability to defend our borders. We spent a lot of time arming ourselves for insurgencies and actions in Afghanistan and Iraq, but a ship turns up on Australian waters and we sort of shrug our shoulders. No, well, that one's a bit beyond us.
Yeah, that's right.
20 minutes to 7. Alex in Mitchell Park's called in with a code word this morning. Alex, good morning to you.
G'day, guys. How are you?
Good, thanks,
show,
Alex.
by the way. Lovely show. You guys should perform live at the Fringe yourselves.
Oh, that'd be terrible. Then you'd have to see us.
Yeah, we're better in non-visual mediums, Alex.
Yeah, you could always wear your masks.
How's life in good old Mitchell Park, mate?
Yeah, pretty good, actually. Yeah, just looking out the window, a little bit overcast. I think we're going to get some rain today, but that's good for the garden, good for the tomato plants.
Which part of the fine suburb do you live in, mate?
I'm around about the Bradley Grove, your old stomping ground.
Yeah, mate, we were just down off the Quick Road Reserve, just tucked in behind the Marion Hotel there.
Oh, perfect spot. I wander past there every Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah, we used to do a bit of that too. Good on you, mate.
So, Alex, what's the code word, mate?
I think we'll call it the Rouge.
The Rouge.
Yeah, it is the Rouge.
As in Moulin.
It is the Rouge.
That's it, exactly.
Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
Congratulations to you, Alex. You have got 4 tickets to see Rouge. You and 3 friends are off, mate, so you'll be popular. Good on you. Congratulations to you. Thanks for calling in. Make sure you watch 9 News Nightly at 6 to get the daily feature show, and every morning following it, we'll give you the opportunity to call in and win those tickets. Gluttony is back in Rymel Park for 2022. Get your tickets for the biggest shows this Fringe at gluttony.net.au or search Adelaide Fringe today. It's 18 minutes to 7 and time to check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? We'll receive complimentary vehicle pickup and drop off at Glenelg BMW. No, we don't seem to have that working at the moment. I mean, a couple of little technical difficulties. My buzzer didn't go off before, which is always a sign that things are amiss.
You might have also seen me throw my headphones across the room about half an hour ago on the Telstra on the old live stream. It's just one of those old guy moments where, when technology doesn't work, my immediate reaction is to punch it or throw it.
I just looked at Lucy, and you know when someone's like in the middle of having a crisis, and the temples are being rubbed. And I could just see a migraine. I could actually see a migraine forming. That's okay. We'll keep talking and things will get fixed, I'm sure, right after this.
If you're planning an event, whether it's a small meeting with the latest in reliable technology or a large gala dinner full of glitz and glamour, you'll experience event excellence on every level at the Adelaide Convention Centre. Excellence in understanding your needs and delivering them to exacting standards is what we do. And we don't just aim for excellence, we go beyond. So for your next excellent event, the team is ready and waiting at the Adelaide Convention Centre, the centre of event excellence.
We lost Dad to prostate cancer.
Breast cancer nearly took Mum away.
My little brother is living with leukemia.
My pa caught his bowel cancer early.
Make your donation as personal as your story. You can target the cancer that's hurt you most with Cancer Council SA. Learn more or donate at cancersa.org.au.
Now, landlords, listen up because we have some exciting news. How's this? The innovators at Toop and Toop, they've just launched a brand new solution. It gives you exclusive access to pre-screen tenants up to 2 months in advance. You can secure quality tenants before incurring hundreds of dollars in advertising costs. It's a new innovation, a total game changer, and it could save you hundreds of dollars.
It's not only landlords that reap the rewards, it's great for tenants too. It allows tenants to secure a home up to 2 months sooner and before they become publicly available. Tenants can receive email alerts direct to their inbox, making your rental search so much easier.
It's brilliant, such a great concept by Toop and Toop, and one that's so valuable in today's tough rental climate.
To tap into this incredible network, simply head to toop.com.au.
So, you've decided to go solar. Smart idea. But there's just so many options out there. At NRG Solar, we know that every home is different. So, we've created the NRG Solar Calculator, which can quickly and easily match your home and energy usage to the right size system for you. Not only that, but we can show you your predicted savings. It's that simple. Check it out. Head to nrgsolar.com.au today. NRG Solar, leading solar in SA.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 to 7. We've got some good news on all fronts. Some terrific listeners have texted us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line to ask your query about what the origins of the term upright Topsy are. Philippa says Topsy's a rabbit, I think, and Kay has some more information. Says Topsy is a child character from a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin, who, when asked where she came from, said, "I expect I just growed." Thank you for that, Kay.
I reckon old Uncle Tom's Cabin's on the cancelled list in 2022.
Yeah, that one doesn't. Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not. Yeah.
Along with the little black SAMBO.
That's right. It's
One
not
of
allowed
that
either.
was my dad's favourite book when he was a kid.
Now, good news also is we've got the traffic.
Good morning, Will. At Port Adelaide, got a smash on St Vincent Street causing a few delays. Black Forest, reports of traffic lights playing up on South Road at Crossroad. Alberton got sewer maintenance there. Port Road near Grand Junction Road, that's affecting both directions. And Camden Park got some gasworks there this morning. That's on Anzac Highway near Morphet Road as you're heading into the city. Cameras today, Bartels Road in the city and Lefevre Terrace at North Adelaide. Anaconda's up to 50% off summer wipeout sale is on now. Up to 50% off a huge range of outdoor gear. Some exclusions apply. At Anaconda, play more, pay less. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
All right, let's check weather. Simon Timke, senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau, is on the line. Morning to you, Simon.
Good morning, guys.
So it feels a little bit cool today. What's the week going to be like?
Yeah, and it is a pretty cool day ahead today. We had a cold front move across later on Sunday. Did bring a couple of light showers. Looking at the rainfall totals around the metro area, mostly it was around the hills where numerous places sort of picked up 1 to 2 millimetres, the wettest being Inverbrackie with 4 millimetres. Adelaide Airport picked up 1 millimetre as well. Most of those showers are cleared away now, just a very isolated light shower showing up about the eastern slopes of the hills. But with that cold front came quite a bit of cloud as well, and southerly winds, which are going to keep our temperatures a little bit on the lower side for this time of year. Currently sitting on 15.7 degrees, which is not far off our minimum of 15.5 a few minutes ago. Expecting a maximum of 23 degrees today. Around the suburbs, 23 as well for Glenelg, 24 for Elizabeth, 22 for Noarlunga, and 20 degrees for Mount Barker. But getting a bit warmer as the week goes on, and a bit more sunshine too. For Tuesday, a sunny day with 28 degrees the maximum. Wednesday, sunny 32. Thursday, sunny 30. Friday, a little bit of cloud around, but still on the warm side, 31 degrees. Mostly sunny again for Saturday, 32, and Sunday partly cloudy, 31. So today's the coolest day by quite a bit, and a string of days in the low 30s later on in the week.
Bit of belated summer coming up. Good stuff, Simon. Looking forward to it.
Simon Timke, senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau. Now, some teenagers have been caught up with by SAPOL after they were caught graffitiing a CBD church overnight. Senior Constable Dave Muir's on the line with more info. What happened, Dave?
Good morning. Look, this was just after midnight. Police were called to a church. It was on the corner of Morford Road, North Terrace in the city, after Police Security Services Branch captured the pair on CCTV climbing a fence before marking graffiti on that church. So patrols were quickly on scene, locating them as they were leaving and in possession of a spray can and markers. A 19-year-old from North Plimpton and a 17-year-old boy from Frueville, both arrested, charged with unlawfully on premises mark graffiti and carry implement with intent to mark graffiti. Man's been bailed to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court later in April, while the youth will front the Adelaide Youth Court later next month.
So, can you clarify which church it was, Dave? Is that the Trinity Church there on the corner?
If it's the one I'm thinking of on the corner, I think that's right, yeah.
Near the underpass where you sneak around Hindley
Street.
Street. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I think it's the Anglican Trinity Church there.
Yeah, and I think it's got fencing up around it at the moment. I think they're doing some works there. So there's that temporary fencing they put up, construction style sort of.
The stupidity of that is, I actually think there's a legal graffiti area under the overpass. There's a whole wall of graffiti there, so God knows why they were targeting the poor old church.
Yeah, you can freelance your work there.
Exactly, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Dave, also, the police dogs have had a busy couple of weeks. PD Havoc has helped with the arrest of a man.
PD Havoc, yeah, he has. I don't know how they go for a pay rise. I'm not sure how that works for the dogs, but geez, they deserve
an extra schmacko.
Yeah, that's probably how it will pan out, because being a dog, they'll love that just as much anyway. This was just before 3:30 this morning. Patrols were called to Norman Street at Angle Park after the occupant of the house heard some noises out the front and had a look. And sure enough, there's some bloke out the front trying to steal, or allegedly stealing, I suppose I should say, the CCTV cameras are at the front of the property. So police dog Havoc got called, and his handler, and they tracked the suspect to a nearby house where he was arrested, and the 4 CCTV cameras were located. A 28-year-old man from Royal Park was charged with unlawfully on premises and theft. He's been bailed to appear in the Port Adelaide Magistrates Court later next month.
Great work. Good on you, Dave. Thank you. Senior Constable Dave Muir from SAPOL. It's 10 minutes to 7. Lots of thoughts still coming through about election posters. Mark says not one Liberal poster in Whyalla anywhere, and the only others are a few Family First posters.
Whyalla. What's the margin up there?
About 1,000.
Yeah, that's right. You should at least have a crack though, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Although plenty of times Labor's sat elections out in the past.
Have we received enough correspondence yet to assert that there is something different going on with the Liberal campaign this year? That there are fewer posters out there? Well, or is it too early, do you think?
I think it depends on where you are. I don't think that's true in the city. But
it's true on my side of the city.
Yeah. Well, overwhelmingly, the texts are saying that people are seeing heaps more Labor posters than Liberal ones.
Keep those texts coming in. 0448 08 1395 is the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. 9 minutes to 7. We're off to the US in just a moment.
Children aged 5 to 11 years can now receive their free COVID-19 vaccine. It's the best way to protect them, your family, and community. All vaccines are thoroughly tested before use and reduce a child's chances of getting sick. Talk to your GP, pharmacist or healthcare professional if you have questions. Book now at australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Does your retirement mean buying that special car you always wanted, going on lots of holidays, or dining out whenever you want? What do you have to do now to make it happen then? Retire in 5 is a retirement plan built by MBA Financial Strategists. It'll show you where your wealth needs to be in 5 years and what you need to do today to make that happen. Start with a free consultation with MBA Financial Strategists. Retireinfive.com.au. See website for T's and C's.
Who can fix the shower?
Service today.
Who can fix the power?
Service today.
Yes, we can, is what we say. Service today.
Every time you see our bright yellow trucks in your area, we're helping out your neighbours. We can help you too. So for the best plumbing, electrical, heating and cooling work, call Service Today 24/7.
Can you fix the shower? Yes, we can. Can you fix the power? Yes, we can. Yes, we can, is what we say. Service today.
Call 1300 Service.
Truck 3, give me an update on the fire front.
Yeah, it's past Owens Road with Ember attack on 6 houses.
What's the status?
5 defending with tanks and hoses. 1 has a fully automated bushfire sprinkler system. They've already evacuated.
Great. Base yourself there. See how many other houses you can save.
Make the smart choice and fully automate your bushfire sprinklers with Embar's intelligent Halo system. Call Embar on 1800 201 570 or visit embarr.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 to 7, Eddie Hughes is the member for Giles, which incorporates Whyalla. Wasn't quite 1,000%. 14.9% is the margin. Puts it in the safe category.
Very safe.
Not quite very safe. I think the very safe cutoff's about 20%.
Okay.
So it's just considered safe. Ashley Mullaney's covering everything that's happening in the United States for 7 News and joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Ashley, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
So, actually, the view from the White House seems to be that Russia is sort of systematically going through everything that looks like the quite deliberate and deliberately provoked build-up to create a sort of foundation for an all-out war in Ukraine, which is pretty scary stuff, isn't it?
Well, it is, and what's so interesting is watching this play out, this war of words play out day by day, and I think it's really interesting watching the White House strategy here, which seems to be that they want to get ahead of Putin, right? They seem to be announcing Putin's plays before he actually enacts them, and I think that's something that's quite unusual to see the White House sort of drip feeding this intelligence every day. We saw Blinken last week and Biden say too that exactly how they think this is going to play out, that they think Putin will create this, false flags, giving him an excuse to invade Ukraine, which is interesting, but it just seems that each day goes by, the language is being ratcheted up. We've seen the White House and Downing Street now both say that they believe that Putin has made that decision to invade. But he's sitting there knowing full well that Biden's not going to send American troops into Ukraine too. So he's in this position where he knows that if he does move in, even if he moves in to seize Kiev, Biden has said that we won't be sending in US troops, because I guess this is nothing like invading Afghanistan or invading Iraq, nations that perhaps couldn't have laid a finger on America.
Yeah, totally.
We're talking about, a global superpower. We're talking about a country that has more nuclear warheads than America. The stakes are incredibly high, and it would only take, a small conflict between one American soldier and a Russian soldier to create a new world war. That's how delicate the situation is.
Ashley, just note in the last half an hour that the US Embassy in Moscow issued a security warning regarding possible threats of attacks against people in a number of public places, including in Russia, so Moscow, St. Petersburg. How's this being interpreted?
Well, I think the US, we've seen this very much Cold War level rhetoric back and forth, where Russia has expelled US diplomats from Moscow, moves like this. I mean, Russia is laughing it off. It's sort of like a war of disinformation at the moment. Whatever America says, Putin comes out and dismisses it. So I think that's what we'll expect to see next, Putin saying that there is no threat. And it's, it really seems to be Biden's word against Putin's word at the moment in terms of this, this information that's drip feeding out every day. But we've seen the US move its embassy staff out of key locations in Ukraine, and it does seem to be, certainly a worrying time for Americans on the ground there, I'd imagine.
We'll be talking later to Frank Fisenko, who's the president of the FIVEaa Ukrainian Association. Hey, Ashley, tell us about these nasty helicopter crashes that happened over the weekend.
Right. In the space of a day, we saw there was pictures out of Miami, right on South Beach, a helicopter that came crashing down. There's plenty of people in the water. The pictures are really dramatic. Thankfully, those inside that helicopter were able to be freed without any serious injuries. But then last night, we've seen another helicopter go down in Newport Beach, and that was a police chopper, and unfortunately a police officer was killed inside that chopper. It was about 6:30 last night. It came down in the quite shallow area of Newport Beach, and straight away police and firefighters rushed in. Really dramatic pictures, two of them freeing the pilot and his co-pilot, a police officer, but sadly one of them has been killed and the other one was badly injured. So all of this captured on camera, both in Miami and here in Newport Beach too, and sadly not a good outcome here in California.
Yeah. Ashley, thank you for that. Ashley Maloney for 7 News in the United States.
Have you seen the video of the helicopter crash?
No, I haven't.
I'm just looking at it now on Twitter. I mean, no one died, but how no one died, it's beyond me. The helicopter lands this is the equivalent of being like 10 metres out at Glenelg. So there's all these people just standing there paddling in their waist, and the helicopter comes in, everyone's looking at it thinking, I must be dipping down and then taking off again, but it just goes straight into the water.
Oh, wow.
It's really shallow water, but there's dozens of people standing there just sunning themselves like we do down at the bay.
Gee, could have been much worse then.
Well, if it overshot the water, it would have landed straight on top of about 5,000 sunbathers.
Nick's texted us on the Telstra Storm out Barker text line, says, morning guys, just drove through the city. Rachel Sanderson is nearly double the Labor posters there. It tells
They must have had a big night last night, the Libs, because it didn't look like that on Saturday.
Yeah, Nick's saying that. I wonder how much of it's tactical and how much of it's just a matter of when the various volunteers get around to it. But it feels like you can read a little bit into what the Liberals are certainly targeting, given they seem to have a more sparse distribution of posters.
I tell you what, here's a good point. Lads, I'm in Hallett Cove, and I think David Spears has said he's not putting up signs because he campaigned against them last year.
Yeah.
I think good on David Spears
Absolutely.
for not doing it.
Yeah.
For being true to his guns. He was against them last year. He's obviously the Environment Minister. I reckon that he's probably got enough coverage locally for not doing it that it'll become an actual positive for him in the ballot box.
Yep, absolutely. It's right on 7 o'clock, 5AA News time. We'll take you some of the big stories going on around Adelaide and the world right after this.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Cloudy and 23 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
The Queen is in isolation at Windsor Castle after testing positive for COVID. Prince Charles and Camilla have also tested positive in recent weeks. UK correspondent Adam Gilchrist says the 95-year-old monarch has mild symptoms.
First time she has had her brush or her own personal brush with coronavirus. We're told that they are mild symptoms, mild cold-like symptoms, and that she will carry on with light duties at Windsor Castle over the coming week.
It's not a great commute for many in Sydney this morning. The Prime Minister is condemning the rail union over a strike which has brought city trains to a standstill. Commuters are being warned to avoid the network after negotiations broke down. Drivers and guards are refusing to turn up for rostered shifts. Scott Morrison says as the country reopens, it's frustrating and disrespectful.
There are people who this morning who are going to have an overpriced Uber, or they're going to be not able to get to work. This thing was sprung up them at 2 a.m. in the morning. This is just not how you behave, and this is not how you treat your fellow citizens.
It's feared thousands of women have been forced to withdraw from their super early by abusive partners. Nine's Nathaniel Keesing has more.
More than 3 million people have accessed up to $20,000 from their super as part of the federal government's pandemic relief scheme. Women's advocates warn perpetrators are exploiting their partners through the scheme in the same way they exploit tax, welfare and child support. The Australian Institute of Superannuation Trustees believes there could be more than 70,000 victims. The sector is calling on the government to calculate the full extent of the issue.
The US Vice President admits there is a real possibility of war in Europe if Russia invades Ukraine. Kamala Harris has told the Munich Security Conference it's in the best interest of all if there's a diplomatic end to the crisis. A veteran police officer has died in a helicopter crash outside Los Angeles. Nine's Michael Genovese has more.
The chopper crash landed in shallow waters in Newport Beach. Its 50-year-old pilot died at the scene. He's being remembered as a 16-year veteran with the police force. Another officer was critically injured. It comes just hours after a helicopter fell from the sky just metres from swimmers at Miami Beach. Both crashes are now under investigation by the National Transport Safety Board.
A national registry has been created to improve the lives of people living with congenital heart disease. It will help track patients who are treated from childhood into their adult years to monitor medical needs and ensure access to new treatments. Heart Research Institute Professor David Sellermeyer says it will provide answers for a younger population living with the disease.
We don't know how many of them there are. We don't know where they live. We don't know the burden of the disease on them. And we don't know about their outcomes. So, for example, a woman who's born with a single pump heart, can she have a baby successfully? And will that baby be okay?
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
What's happening in the cricket, Tom Wren?
Well, unfortunately, Mel, Australia's missed out on a clean sweep of its T20 series against Sri Lanka. That's after going down by 5 wickets in the fifth and final match at the MCG. The tourists needed 7 from the final 4 balls when Dasun Shanaka stepped up with the bat. Audio thanks to Fox Cricket. Meantime, India has made a clean sweep of its T20 series against the West Indies after winning the final match comfortably by 17 runs. That series 3-0. Well, to soccer and Western United's Ben Garuccio has put in a contender for goal of the season after a stunning scorpion kick for Western United.
Oh my word! That is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio. A scorpion kick that's going to be replayed for weeks and weeks.
A magnificent goal, audio there thanks to Channel 10. United beating the Western Sydney Wanderers 3-2, which sees them hold on to top spot, while Perth beat Brisbane 2-0 in yesterday's other game. Meantime, in the EPL, Manchester United cemented 4th place after beating Leeds 4-2, while Wolverhampton's up to 7th after a 2-1 win over Leicester. The Adelaide 36ers have improved their record to 5-7 for the season after coming from behind to beat Cairns 82-71. Meantime, Melbourne United has amassed the highest score of the season, scoring 108 as they belted New Zealand 108-73. And jockey Justin Huxtable has received a costly penalty for his KI Cup win on the weekend. He stood up in his stirrups after winning the feature race to celebrate, but fell off after the finishing post and has now been suspended for 3 weeks. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Theberton got a smash on South Road near West Theberton Road. Port Adelaide got a smash on St Vincent Street, causing a few delays. Alberton, sewer maintenance there. Port Road near Grand Junction Road. It's affecting both directions. And Camden Park got some gas works. Anzac Highway near Morpher Road. That's affecting inbound. Cameras today, Highfield Drive, Hillbank and Jeffcott Street, North Adelaide. Book online now at mycar.com.au and get $100 off your next logbook service. Plus, you'll get 12 months free roadside assistance. T's and C's apply. Offer ends February 28th. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
A cloudy Monday with a top of 23, sunny tomorrow 28, Wednesday sunny 32. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 7. Historic week in Adelaide. The mainline drive-in at Jepps Cross. Final session is on this Saturday. We have tickets to give away all this week. Now, this has been incredibly popular, Wallace running the drive-in, and they've been selling out stacks and stacks of sessions. So if you want to be there when history's made, the final ever drive-in at Mainline, we've got tickets for you. We've got 2 car tickets each and every day this week to give away. We're going to play a game called Guess Who Is in the Boot. Guess who is in the boot?
This is the only way you can go to the drive-in too, because it's completely sold out.
That's what we're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you just said that.
Yeah.
I was listening.
No, I know. Sometimes it's worth reiterating for
domestic
effect.
deafness. What was that, dear?
Guess who is in the boot is the game we're playing. The person who's hiding in the boot, you need to guess, will always be a movie star at being, movie themed. We've got clues for you over the course of the morning, and after 8 each morning, chance for you to win. So listen up to the clues. We'll have one for you very shortly. First clue of the morning. It'll be a movie star who's hiding in the boot to get into the drive-in.
Makes me sad that there's no more drive-ins.
Yeah.
Although I must admit, I can't remember the last time I went, but I like the idea that drive-ins are there.
Someone somewhere is having fun at a drive-in.
Yeah. My dad's old cassette deck that he bought probably cost him an extravagant amount of money in the 1970s. I can't bring myself to get rid of it.
You never use it.
Never use it, but I want it to be there because it reminds me of a simpler time.
9 minutes after 7. Things have changed rather dramatically over the last 704 days. It's been 704 days since we've allowed international travel into Australia. It's a huge number. We sort of just blithely refer to the fact that borders have been closed for nearly 2 years, but they have been. So today will be the first into Adelaide after 9 o'clock, a Singapore Airlines flight. Earlier, one to Sydney from LA touchdown. There'll be one that heads to Melbourne shortly. Scott Morrison was at the Melbourne airport yesterday welcoming travellers back.
You've done the hard yards, you've done the work, you've pushed through, you've persevered, and now we can start going forward together. We've got the treatments, we've got the vaccinations, and we're here managing this pandemic better than almost any other country in the world. And that's why we can take this step. Pack your bags, come and have one of the greatest experiences you could ever imagine, the experience you've been waiting for. You can come here and have that here in Australia. And don't forget to bring your money with you.
Coming back, but slowly at first, 9 inbound flights to Adelaide Airport this week. Doha, Kuala Lumpur and Singapore are the destinations. 18 outbound flights from Adelaide to the same places. Qantas also flying to India, but it's a start to returning to normality.
The international borders are opening almost a full month before the Western Australian border opens. As well, we see over the weekend, Mark McGowan has said that it's March 4 set down to open the Western Australian border.
So what was the benefit? Because now they're going to have to bring in density requirements and all sorts. So all that they achieved was they're 3 months behind us.
And look, I reckon for everyone in South Australia who says Marshall shouldn't have opened the borders before Christmas, he should have listened to Nicola Spurrier. Well, let's just wait and see what happens in Western Australia, because they're going to go through exactly what we went through, except 3 months later. So
exactly, yeah.
There was nothing to be achieved from it. Delaying the inevitable, absolutely.
Here's Brenton Cox from the Adelaide Airport on international arrivals.
We're really only operating at about 7% of the volume pre-COVID right now. And that's pretty much going to be the case this week as well. It's going to take a little bit of time to ramp up. So we previously did have 7 destinations served. At the moment, we only have 3. Demand's building. The aircraft at the moment aren't full, but there's a lot more people on them than there were a month ago.
How many international visitors came to Australia in 2019, do you think, back when this was
pre-COVID?
Yeah, pre-COVID. How many do we get, if you had to put a number on it?
I would say 5 million.
9.5 million.
Seriously?
9.5 million. Think about that. That's
staggering.
That's, 50% of Australia's population just about. You add in terms of people coming to spend money. It's a huge component of the economy. Let's talk about the Queen, because the Queen, we're used to over the course of the last 700 odd days, if we want to use COVID as a reference point, giving messages of hope.
It is obviously difficult for people to, if they've never had a vaccine, because they ought to think about other people rather than themselves.
Well, she's triple vaccinated and now has COVID herself, the Queen. The good news is Buckingham Palace is saying that she's experiencing mild cold-like symptoms, and I think an even better news, she always battles on, the Queen, no matter what. She's continuing light duties at the Palace, so she's going to continue doing that. She'll continue to receive medical attention. We'll follow all the appropriate guidelines. That was also, the point was made in a statement. Here is Sky's royal correspondent.
And inevitably, people are going to be worried. She is, after all, 95 years old. She turns 96 in April. But it is worth reflecting on the fact it has been already a very difficult week for her. Of course, Prince Andrew settled his court case with Virginia Giuffre, much to the surprise of everybody. And also then we found out that the Metropolitan Police are going to be investigating Prince Charles's Prince's Foundation when it comes to cash for honours allegations. So I think this is the last thing that the Palace needs at the moment.
She's an amazingly resilient woman, isn't she?
Yep.
Like to just say, all right, I've got it. I'm still going to keep doing my job.
It's a good point. Hell of a week, 95 years of age. You're dealing with an absolute family crisis.
Did you see 60 Minutes last night, the Prince Andrew stuff?
No.
You forget how bad that BBC interview he did was. They played quite a lot of it. It's just extraordinary. It is just, the guy is just, it's like he's had a lobotomy. Like, he is so stupid. It's staggering how dumb he is.
Did they play the bit about him not sweating?
Oh, yeah, all of that.
Oh, good. And the pizza, what was the name of the pizza place?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Pizza Express.
Pizza Express.
Pizza Express. But how is it that, like, you just look at the grace and the intellect of the Queen, and crikey.
Sometimes the apple falls far from the tree.
A long way away in this case.
Now, our man Cameron Daddo, who we spoke to late last week.
In what can only be described as the kiss of death.
We spoke to him ahead of going on Dancing with the Stars, and he made the point with us. I think it was a really good chat. So, this was the All-Stars Dancing with the Stars, where everyone else who was on the show had either won it or had appeared on it before. And he rolled into rehearsals, and they said to him, "Oh, by the way, how do you feel about being a wild card?" And he said, "A wild what?" And they said, "A wild card. Oh, you're one of the only guys that's not been on it before." And he went, "Okay, well, that's not great." And then he learnt that everyone else had been already practicing for weeks by the time he rolled up. Then last night, this happened.
The first couple to leave Dancing with the Stars, All Stars 2022 is Cameron and Megan. Thank you. And you did your best. You came in late, as you said. You only had 2 weeks. And congratulations in the way you put it together. The judges, thought you were marvellous to come in. You'd never danced before. And will you dance again? That's the big question.
I will. And I just thank you to Megan for her patience with me.
Love.
I think he's been set up.
Total stitch up.
I think this is he's been wronged. This is an injustice that's being perpetrated.
I missed it.
No, I didn't catch it live. I knew I was ready for the blowback this morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a lot of capacity to talk about Dancing with the Stars this morning.
I reckon when you go to hell, there's a television. The only show that's on is Dancing with the Stars.
No, in hell, you're given 2 weeks to appear in All Stars, having never done it before. That's in hell. Cameron Daddo's emerged. If you're going through hell, keep going, as Winston Churchill said. 15 minutes after 7.
Well, you're channeling Sam McClure there, quoting Winston Churchill, mate. What about Sam McClure? Crikey. Jeez, I enjoyed writing that piece last Friday.
Was it the most positively received piece you've ever written?
It's the only column I've ever written in 30 years of journalism where every single person has spoken to me going, I love that. Normally you're lucky to get 50-50. But it was just... I just think there's a great sense of state pride where people just go... Even Port supporters like, oh, come on, mate, calm down. Because Port get the treatment as well from over the border.
Easy. Easy
The best columns are ones that take you about 15 minutes. They've been festering away in my brain for months. It all just came out like some primal scream.
All right, let's check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. You can visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Theberton got a smash on South Road near West Theberton Road. That's causing heavy delays this morning. Avoid it if you can. Port Adelaide, another collision there. That's St Vincent Street causing a few dramas. Alberton got sewer maintenance. Port Road near Grand Junction Road. That's affecting both directions. And Camden Park got some gas works. Anzac Highway near Morford Road. That's affecting you as you drive into the city. Cameras, Bevington Road, Glenunga, and Fitzroy Terrace, North Adelaide. Want free delivery? Shop amazon.com.au. That's right. Eligible orders over $39 receive free delivery at amazon.com.au. Easy as. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peaceful living awaits at the 19th at West. With uninterrupted golf course views, pristine beaches, and a new cafe and retail precinct opening in March, the best of the West is at your fingertips. The architectural homes on offer allow for effortless living. Brand new 3 and 4 bedroom designs are coming soon to West. Register your interest for the new collection today. the19thwest.com.au.
Why would you put South Australia's healthcare system in the hands of Labor? As Labor's Health Minister, Peter Malinauskas closed the Repat Hospital and was part of the Labor government that slashed our health system. Labor downgraded emergency departments at Modbury, Noarlunga and Queen Elizabeth hospitals and closed the high dependency unit at Modbury Hospital. Can we really risk going back to Labor?
Authorised by S. Meldrum for the Liberal Party of Australia, SA Division, Adelaide. Spoken by S. Marshall and M. Munt.
Now, as we know, you don't need a builder's licence to be a concert pianist.
You don't, Will, and you don't need a builder's licence to be a chartered accountant either.
Rocket scientist? No hint of a builder's licence. But what about a house inspector?
Well, logic would suggest that they need one.
That's right.
Surely.
You'd think so, but no. Unfortunately, there are still no regulations in the industry that say you must be a builder to become a house inspector.
And it's pretty scary, given that it's only the biggest purchase decision of your life that we're talking about.
Well, that's absolutely right. Mike Pearl from House Inspect Australia is a third-generation licensed builder. He founded House Inspect Australia and has the most qualified team in Australia for house inspections. So don't risk it. Go to houseinspectaustralia.com.au.
The other thing you should get in touch with Mike about is pest inspections, because I was talking to Paul, our sales guy, who looks after House Inspect, and they do pests as well. And in light of the spate of possums that have been affecting certain houses around town, including mine, you might want to give Mike a call, not just to have your house inspected for quality, but also for pests.
Womadelaide Adelaide returns to its spiritual home in Botanic Park for its 30th anniversary with a birthday party to remember. Catch artists like Paul Kelly, the Cat Empire, Goanna, Joseph Tuadros with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra and more from March 11 to 14. With a reduced capacity this year, tickets are selling fast. So make sure you don't miss out on Womadelaide Adelaide, March 11 to 14. Book your tickets and see the full lineup now at womadelaide.com.au.
The Nissan Juke comes with Apple CarPlay and a 5-year warranty as standard. Plus, low weekly repayments when you finance with Nissan Future Value. Contact your Nissan dealer today.
Approved private Nabian applicants only. T's and C's apply.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes after 7. Labor leader Peter Malinauskas after 7:30 following the campaign launch that Labor conducted over the weekend. We'll talk to him about that as the campaign starts proper. He also attended and found some time over the weekend to attend a rally at the steps of Parliament organised by the Ukrainians in South Australia Association, calling for solidarity behind Ukraine and asking for the South Australian government to make a statement in lockstep with Ukraine as they face this incredibly scary situation with Russian troops amassed at the border. Frank Vasenko is the president of Ukrainians in SA and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Frank, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Frank, everyone I know and everyone who's been talking to us here on the show is deeply worried and appalled by the belligerence being shown by the Russians towards your country. it must be of huge concern to every Ukrainian Aussie like yourself living here in Adelaide right now.
Well, absolutely. The situation is ominous, very ominous, and every media report that we read suggests that it is exactly what the Americans say it is. It's almost the case of an imminent invasion. They're just looking to manufacture a pretext and go in.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about the Ukrainian community here in Adelaide. Is it a very big community, mate?
Well, Adelaide community is probably around about 5,000, and a fairly active one. We've got a community centre in Hindmarsh. We have 4 church parishes. We have, a community centre which houses a community school. We've got a couple of choirs, a dance school for kids to learn Ukrainian folk dancing. We organise a function centre, and we have a club room which has got a little bar. So, yes, we're an active community. We get together quite often. But yes, and we carry on.
Yeah, yeah.
Frank, did you ask anyone from the state government to come along to the rally?
I sent out quite a few invites, about 7 or 8, to both the Labor politicians, or to prominent Labor politicians, and also to the Liberal politicians.
Did any Liberals attend?
No.
Is that disappointing?
Well, yes, of course it is. I understand that it was a big day in politics because both major parties launched their campaigns, but Peter Malinauskas at least managed to come and address the crowd, so we're very grateful for that. However, look, it's a little bit disappointing, but I really don't want to draw too many conclusions from this.
Yeah, yeah. Frank, what was the thing that made the 5,000 people you talked about before of Ukrainian extraction come to South Australia in the first place? Was it Soviet rule that drove most of the Ukrainians out, sort of post-war?
Oh, absolutely. A very substantial. The first major immigration of Ukrainians occurred after the war, starting in about 1948, and then in 49, 50, 51, and that was the biggest chunk. A few came later on, and that particular community then established itself throughout Australia. But in the last 30 years, we've had more immigration coming directly from Ukraine because the borders there have opened up, and we're getting quite a few. We've got quite a few people now here in our community that were born in Ukraine, or their parents were born in Ukraine, and they were born in Australia soon after their parents arrived. So, yeah, and Australia-wide, we're now a fair-sized community, about 60,000, I think.
Yeah, fascinating chat, Frank. And look, as we said at the start, everyone in Australia, every decent person who respects democracy and freedom will be looking at what's happening there and cheering your country on. Frank Fisenko, the president of the Ukrainians in SA Association.
25 minutes after 7. Time to turn our attention to the weekend in sports. Stephen Rowe is on the line. Morning to you, Rowie.
Pembo and Will, good morning. Scary that, what's happening over there. Hey, the closing ceremony of the Winter Olympics, our best ever, 4 medals, we know, 1 gold, 2 silver and a bronze. All 4 athletes are back home. Only 9 remain for the closing ceremony. Well done to 3-time Olympian Semi Kennedy Sim. She was our flag bearer. Read her story. It's an amazing story. From afar, watching it on TV, I tuned in and out. I didn't watch everything. I tuned in when I knew we were favourites for a medal. What'd you think? Successful? Did you enjoy it? Do you like it?
All I watched was the curling, Rowie. I didn't watch anything. I'm being honest. I didn't watch anything other than the curling. I really got into the curling.
Yeah, it is. Well, the Great Britain team won, the women that you were following. Hey, the next Winter Olympics is 2026. It's to be confirmed. So there's some bids. They haven't announced it yet. I reckon we should have a crack at it.
What, at the ice arena?
Yeah, Mount Theberton.
Well, okay, you may laugh, but Beijing had to spend $60 million on their snowmaking machines. Now, they're going to sit there idle. We might get them for half price. You know the other thing they did? They diverted a freshwater stream or a river away from about 1,000 farmers, just so they have enough water to make the... Yeah. It's an incredible story. And you know what they said to the farmers? Oh, that's all right. For 6 months, just grow something else. I mean, imagine that in Australia.
Yeah, it's
sorry about that.
Easier to get stuff done in China.
I think you might as well host the Summer Olympics in the mythical underwater city of Atlantis if we're going to host the Winter Olympics.
Anyway, tongue in cheek. Hey, Reds lost 4-1. Gee, that was a shocking game for them. 36ers, well, they started like snails but finished like rockets, was a great win. I think the big story from our local teams were the Crows. They smoked GWS by 40 points, kept them goalless. That's the fourth game this year. Round 5, Round 3 and Round 1, they kept a team goalless. The big thing to come out of that is Erin Phillips with her injury. Now, let's hope she's back before the finals. It's a strained knee. We know, she's so damn important to them. But I watched that entire game yesterday. I was in and out doing things. Their pressure, their defensive games, they are the best coached and drilled team by far. They were awesome yesterday.
I'll tell you what, GWS are lucky they were so inaccurate in front of goal. They kicked 5 goals, 15.
Well, yeah, exactly.
If they'd straightened it up, it could have been
to 5 points.
The biggest margin in AFLW history.
No, good on the girls. Round 8, they play FIVEaa, which is in Perth. That's this Saturday. So what do they get an exemption to fly in there? He hasn't opened that border yet, has he? The Republic of WA?
Yeah, next March. Yeah, March. A couple of weeks away, yeah.
Okay, so how can the girls fly in there and play Fremantle in Perth next weekend?
Because they're footballers.
Yeah, because football
Isn't
can't get
that
COVID.
amazing? Oh, sorry, Dad, if you played for the girls, you'd get in here anyway.
Hey, Rowie, one thing you guys, ask the listeners, I'm not telling you how to suck eggs, mate, but...
No, I'm happy to do that.
What about Nicola Spurrier saying on Friday that she's they're still going to take a wait-and-see approach to 100% capacity at the Adelaide Oval? Even though
that's okay.
Even though the MCG and Marvel are all going back to 100%. Apparently, what's the difference in SA?
Well, I did mention that. I played a grab of Nicola Spurrier, St. Nicola. She's off to the fringe. Woohoo, we're back to life. Well, what about the footy? Fair
totally.
dinkum. They owe it to the state. We owe it to the members that supported the club. There 100%. Is no risk. So open up. Fair dinkum. I've had a gutful. Why'd you have to mention her name and crowds? I'm going to have a bad day today.
No, we'll keep the pressure on.
Hey,
don't bottle up the anger, spread it around.
Yeah, well, fair call. Hey, I read your article on Caro.
How was your mate, Caro?
And old Scoop-diddy-doo-da, Scoop-diddy. That is the best article I have read. I even sent you a text. No, Pembo, do I ever send you a text?
No, we only text occasionally, mate, but I'm very kind of you.
Your last paragraph, you hit that fair on the head. Scoop. See,
look at that. Your day's looking up. It
is. Hang on. Everybody just hang tight, because when Caro comes on, it could be game on.
Give her heaps.
Oh, boy.
Read part of the column out to her.
Oh, boy, wow, we scoop.
Good on you, bro. Stephen Rowe back this afternoon. 5AA Sports Show. Let's talk about out of the weekend. 29 after 7, 5AA News on the way. Then the leader of the Labor Party, Peter Malinowski.
Did you know that the only giant pandas in the Southern Hemisphere are housed right here in the Adelaide Zoo? True. And did you know that there are only 7 other giant panda exhibits in the entire world? Also true. And did you know that Automasters can keep you cool this summer with a fully guaranteed aircon service? Absolutely true. So switch and save on aircon, logbook servicing, repairs, brakes and more. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
If you're looking into a new bathroom or kitchen reno, now, of course, you want the outcome to be spectacular, but what you don't want is a bunch of stumbling blocks along the way, including broken promises.
No, that will not be the case, though, if you deal with the excellent people at Biourban Bathrooms and Kitchens, where they never make a promise they can't keep. And in the unlikely event of a delay or something not going to plan, you won't find out by accident, because Coxie are one of the team. They'll be on the phone to you quick smart with a solution.
It's all about the journey. Coxie and the entire team go to extraordinary lengths to ensure the entire process is trouble-free. So start your journey to a stunning and worry-free home renovation with Biourban Bathrooms, Kitchens, Flooring and Shutters, Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit biourban.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Cloudy 23 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
The Queen has tested positive for COVID. Nine's Brett McLeod is in London.
Just days after she resumed greeting guests in person, Her Majesty has tested positive. Buckingham Palace says the 95-year-old is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor over the coming week. Her son Charles and his wife Camilla also had the virus this month, along with a number of other people at Windsor Castle. The Queen has largely been confined to Windsor since last October. Even after her result was made public, she sent congratulations to Britain's gold medal-winning curling team at the Olympics.
Health authorities are concerned COVID might not be the only virus tourists could be bringing into Australia. Nine's Nathaniel Keesing has more.
The wait is officially over, with the first plane load of international tourists arriving this morning. More than 50 flights are scheduled to land in Australia on the first day of open borders to the rest of the world. The influx of travellers is expected to cause a spike in influenza cases as a result of low flu immunity due to its limited spread during the pandemic. We're being reminded to book in for a flu vaccine when it's released next month.
A second teenager has been arrested following a fight in the city on Saturday night. Police were called to the intersection of King William and Curry Streets, where a group of females were fighting with each other. 4 women were treated by paramedics at the scene. A 15-year-old girl from Salisbury North was arrested nearby, and last night another 15-year-old girl from Greenacres was arrested and charged. Both will face the youth court in April. A church in the CBD has been targeted by graffiti artists. Just after midnight, police were called to the Holy Trinity Anglican Church on the corner of North Terrace and Morford Street. Patrols responded quickly and found 2 teenagers allegedly in possession of a spray can and markers. Senior Constable Dave Muir has told David and Will the pair will face court at a later date.
A 19-year-old from North Plympton and a 17-year-old boy from Frueville, both arrested, charged with unlawfully on premises mark graffiti and carry implement with intent to mark graffiti.
IOC boss Thomas Bach has described the Beijing Olympics as unforgettable as the 2022 Winter Games came to an end. Nine's Damien Ryan reports.
In a first for a closing ceremony, the flag bearers of all 90 nations, including Australian freestyle skier Sammy Kennedy Sim, walked into the famous bird's nest together in a united stand as the athletes trailed behind. The IOC president, Thomas Bach, pleaded for the leaders of the world to be inspired by such solidarity. Mr. Bach praised China and the people of Beijing for staging an unforgettable experience before passing the baton to the Italian cities of Milan and Cortina, host of the 2026 Winter Games.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Crow star Erin Phillips appears to have avoided a serious knee injury, with scans revealing she sprained it during Saturday's 40-point win against GWS. There are only 3 minor round matches until finals, but the Crows are yet to reveal a time frame on when she might return. Well, the MCG's in line for a major renovation, with almost half of the ground seating area to be rebuilt. Nine's Jordan Tunbridge reports.
A state government feasibility study is looking at the future of the 45,000-seat Great Southern Stand. The Age is reporting the study is likely to recommend an entire rebuild of the stand at a cost of more than $1 billion. There'll likely be additional seating, and work could start within 5 years. The MCG's 100,000-person capacity would be reduced during the build, which is expected to last at least 2 to 3 years. It comes amid concerns the 30-year stand would soon be outclassed by new stadiums in Perth, Sydney and Brisbane.
And there was a match at the MCG last night, with Sri Lanka beating Australia by 5 wickets in the 5th and final T20 match. Tiger Woods has reiterated his desire to get back to playing competitive golf on the PGA Tour this year. The 46-year-old says he won't return to the tour full-time though, and when he does play, he wants to be ready to win. Meantime, Chilean Joaquin Niemann leads by 3 shots heading into the back 9 of the Genesis Invitational in California. Aussie Adam Scott is 6 shots back in a tie for 4th. And 2 games in the English Premier League overnight. Manchester United tightening its hold on 4th place with a 4-2 win over Leeds, while Wolverhampton beat Leicester 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for service? Receive complimentary vehicle pick-up and drop-off at Glenelg BMW.
At Theberton got a smash, truck v car, South Road near West Theberton Road. Alberton got civil maintenance there, Port Road near Green Junction Road affecting both directions. Camden Park Gasworks there, Anzac Highway near Morford Road. That's affecting the drive into the city with cameras today. Hancock Road, Surrey Downs and Hutt Street in the city. Is your car making a strange sound? Book in for a Petters $28 brake, steering and suspension check. Get peace of mind today. Visit petters.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
23 today and cloudy, sunny tomorrow 28, then up to 32 on Wednesday. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
It's incredible! Over 75% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to live the dream in beautiful Somerton Park with 2 Scott Salisbury homes up for grabs. There's a catalogue full of prizes to win, including luxury cars and amazing getaways. Tickets won't last long. Join the fight and get yours today at homelottery.com.au. Thank you for your support. Licence M14133.
We lost Dad to prostate cancer.
Breast cancer nearly took Mum away.
My little brother is living with leukemia.
My pa caught his bowel cancer early.
Make your donation as personal as your story. You can target the cancer that's hurt you most with Cancer Council SA. Learn more or donate at cancersa.org.au.
At Fairmont Homes, we're excited to provide you better value than ever. Build now with Fairmont and receive luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, plus free air for no extra cost. And now for just $3.5K, choose from higher ceilings, solar or smart stone bench tops. For more information, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. Fairmont Homes are built for life. Down to South Australia. T's and C's apply.
So now you know where your local giant panda hangs out. You also know how to switch and save with Automasters. Aircon, logbook servicing, repairs, brakes and more. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 8. We've got tickets to the last ever session of the Mainline Drive-In to give away this morning and each and every day this week. It's taking place on Saturday. The tickets thanks to our great friends at Variety. We're playing Guess Who is in the Boot. It'll be a movie star, and the first clue for this morning's coming up very shortly. Just a reminder, we've got 2 carloads of tickets to give away each and every morning. So 2 cars worth of tickets will be given away each and every morning. First 2 correct answers gets that prize.
We can't stress enough too, this is the only way you can get along to the drive-in because it's completely sold out. So 5AA Breakfast Show doing a huge community service here. Peter Malinauskas launched Labor's campaign proper yesterday at the Adelaide Oval in front of the party faithful. We join him on the line now, and we'll do the same when the Premier, Steve Marshall, launches his campaign later on over the coming 4 weeks. Peter Malinauskas, good morning. Health was obviously a huge focus of your speech yesterday. To what extent, though, is Labor trying to pretend that the past is a foreign country? Because a lot of the things that you are scathing now towards the Liberal Party were very much problems during Labor's 16-year rule, particularly ramping.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt, Dave, that ramping existed before this term of government. I don't deny that. I don't think any reasonable person does. But the difference between ramping now, where it was 4 years ago, is a 485% increase. That's well and truly over quadrupled, on track to quadruple. And the difference between ramping at a low level and 485% up means ambulances not rolling up on time to see patients when they need it. We know that the Productivity Commission just in recent weeks reported that we have the worst ambulance response time in the nation, and that almost 40% of patients seeking urgent care in emergency departments aren't being seen on time. So It's now start being negative about something that was happening 4 years ago, before I was even in Parliament. And look, he's entitled to do that. He's a politician. But my sense is that the electorate really doesn't want this election campaign to be about a blame game on health. They just want to know who has a credible plan to fix the rampant crisis.
So-
and I've got that.
So
That's what I'm rolling out.
When will ramping end under a Labor government?
Well, our commitment is to dramatically reduce the level of ramping that we've got in the system now.
So
to end the
they'd
crisis.
still be ramping,
And-
though.
Well, I think, it'd be a foolish person to mislead South Australians to say there will never be an ambulance ramped ever again. But we've got to get back down to a level that doesn't result in us in having the worst ambulance response time in the nation. I mean, people are literally, we heard tragically yesterday from a family that literally lost their son under the age of 40 simply because the ambulance didn't roll up on time, or arguably because the ambulance didn't roll up on time at least. So that's why we've announced our plan. So, and I'd love to be able to tell your listeners about it, because
Well, you can.
We're making.
That's why we got you on.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're making a massive investment in health, and people will rightly say, well, how are you going to pay for it? Well, how we're going to pay for it is that we've got a big point of difference. We're not going to proceed with the $662 million basketball stadium, and that gives us a lot of money to play with, where we can do a lot of good. So yesterday I announced that we will be expanding the number of public hospital beds in the system by 300, and a very significant emphasis of that is on mental health beds, because if COVID was the earthquake, mental health is the tsunami, and we also know that already before the COVID tsunami of mental health problems is in the system, already our EDs, our emergency departments, are full of mental health patients who get stuck in the ED for days on end when they should be somewhere else in the hospital. So we need those mental health beds in the hospital, not just for the patients, but to end the blood block and reduce the level of ramping.
Just
So
on ramping, though,
that
Peter,
combined-
can we get a bit more clarity around the promise? Because, I mean, sure, it might have gone up 485%, which is less than ideal, but is there, in the same breath you say there'll still be some ramping, how much ramping will there be? Like, is there a particular sort of upper limit that a Labor government would be prepared to tolerate?
Well, we want to get ramping to a level where we start seeing ambulances roll up on time again. That's got to be a key objective. If we can dramatically improve our emergency department on-time performance and improve our ambulance on-time performance, then the real impact on patients is dramatically negated. And that's got to be the key metrics that we measure our success by. So we've seen that ambulance response time reduced dramatically over the last few years, and we want to get that back on track, because if the ambulance doesn't roll up on time, then the likelihood of someone losing their life dramatically increases. But if the ambulance isn't stuck on the ramp and they're out and they're responding to people on time and our emergency departments are getting patients flowing through, then we can go from being the bottom in the nation and back up the scale again, which would see us in a far better position. That's got to be the metric by which performance is measured by.
You made the point that the government's promise for the stadium gives you a bit of a war chest to play with and spend up to. Their own mid-year budget review has the state budget returning to surplus by 2022-23. By bringing forward the spending on a stadium that wouldn't be built till 2025, can you commit to returning the budget to surplus as quickly as the state government have laid out?
No, we are absolutely committed to returning to surplus, and by bringing forward that expenditure will, in terms of the capital infrastructure program, that won't have an impact on the budget surplus numbers, because the budget surplus, as you will understand, is a reflection of the operating expenses of government. So we are committed to budget surpluses, but what we're doing is we're taking that $662 million, we're bringing it forward and we're investing it in health, because in our view, and I appreciate the Premier's got a different view, but our view is that we don't need a basketball stadium in 6 years' time. What we need is a health system working now. And of course, it's important that people understand this. The performance of the health system impacts the performance of the economy in the COVID world. We have the toughest restrictions in the nation on hospitality, the toughest restriction nations on close contact, isolation requirements, how long you're in isolation for if you get COVID. We're the toughest in the country, some of the toughest in the world. And the reason for that is because we've got the weakest hospital system.
Is it a bit over the top, though, to suggest that, if the Liberals build and it's more than a basketball stadium, it's an entertainment centre, but that the money spent on that is necessarily coming from kicking children off dialysis machines. I mean, you guys are building a $1 billion hydrogen plant that the private sector is probably capable of doing under its own steam, or you guys are going to spend, what is it, $80 million on an aquatic centre. Like all of those things, couldn't you mount another argument that that's no different from what the Liberals are proposing?
No, because there are very different investments in nature. I mean, the aquatic centre is about getting people out and about, getting them healthy, teaching kids how to swim so they have a healthier life. Older people.
Well, basketball's good for you too.
Yeah, but if you're playing it, there's only going to be 10 people on the court, Dave, right? and then a couple of thousand in the stands eating popcorn, eating hot dogs, right? So there's a big difference between that. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I love basketball as much as the next person.
Yeah.
Discussed before.
Geez, I'm glad you guys didn't have that view when you redid the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, but that was for 50,000 people coming from Westlake in the town. This is about moving a stadium, I think 1.8 kilometres or something up the road. I mean, and it's about priority. I mean, back when the Adelaide Oval was built, ramping wasn't at the crisis levels that mean that ambulances don't roll up on time.
Hey, just finally,
that we've got to confront.
Just finally, Peter Malinauskas, what are you guys all looking at in your election posters? We had a lot of feedback this morning about how all the Labor candidates and yourself are looking off into the distance. One of our listeners has compared it to American high school yearbook portraits.
Into the future, because that's what this campaign's all about, Jeff. Like, see, this is what I'm putting forward. I mean, Stephen Marshall's going to come on your program and he's going to talk about the past, he's going to talk about Labor in the past and so forth. I've put together a whole new team with a fresh policy. I'm a new leader, and all I want to do is present to this state a choice of a plan for the next generation. My policies aren't just about trying to win the election over the next 4 years. What we actually want to do is address the structural challenges we've got in the state, whether it be in the health or in the labour market. I mean, look at the labour market at the moment, Jeff. We've got the worst unemployment rate in the nation. So we've gone right back to where we were before the borders closed. We're the worst unemployment rate in the nation. But I bet you it wouldn't take you much effort to find businesses calling down the line saying, I'm crying out for people. I'm looking for people with skills. Now, the normal government response is, we need to put more stimulus into the economy to drive up demand for labour. Well, the demand is there now, but the people aren't. And that's because we're not investing in education, training and skills. And I've got a big program for that too. Now, let me be honest with you. That's not going to solve the problem next year or the year after that. But I'm trying to put together a plan that actually sets us up for the long term. And that's the choice that people have got to make at this election. It's all about the future.
Peter Malinauskas, the opposition leader, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
We're going to have the Premier on after 8 o'clock this morning. And
Stack
also
of feedback
coming up in our after 8 o'clock each and every morning of the election campaign, Breaking at 8 is giving way to Election at 8. We're going to take you through the latest developments on the election front and some of the things to keep an eye on. So if each and every morning you want a quick sort of wrap up of where it's at, who said what, where they've been and what they're doing, make sure you're listening to 5AA Breakfast after 8. Let's check traffic right now. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today with just this little element. There's a crash at Thebarton that we're aware of. Lots of people have been calling about. South Road, West Thebarton Road. The word from everyone who's called us is just avoid the area. It's affecting all directions. South Road, West Thebarton Road. Avoid the area if possible.
At Prospect got a smash on Churchill Road near Myrtle Street. Thebarton got a smashed truck car South Road near West Thebarton Road. Alberton, sewer maintenance there. Port Road near Grand Junction Road affecting both directions. And Camden Park got gasworks on Anzac Highway near Morford Road. That's affecting your drive into the city. Cameras today, Jeffcott Street, North Adelaide, Liberman Road at Para Hills. REA members can now save 4 cents per litre per day at EG and Caltex Woolworths Fuel and Convenience stores. Search REA member benefits today. Terms and conditions apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from Asa Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. Asa Careers is growing and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with Ace at Couriers. Don't send it, ace it.
Hi, Susanna Toop here. Tenants, you're going to love this. Toop and Toop now gives you early access to rental properties. Hear about properties up to 2 months in advance and before they become publicly available, with email alerts direct to your inbox. No more rushing around to find something in just 2 weeks. With Toop and Toop, you can now find your next home sooner. So if you're struggling to find a rental property or you want to plan early, Simply register now at toop.com.au/rent.
WOM Adelaide returns to its spiritual home in Botanic Park for its 30th anniversary with a birthday party to remember.
At last, this is going to be good. You'll be able to stand up, you'll be able to walk around, you'll be able to act like it's 2019. The lineup encapsulates the essence of 3 decades of WOMAD, featuring some of Australia's biggest names. People are there at the very start too, including Paul Kelly, and then there's Goanna, the Cat Empire, in their farewell SA show.
And as always, expect big acts on the main stages, plus surprising stellar entertainment on the small ones.
Wonder if the Cat Empire are going to change the words, make it goodbye, goodbye, instead of hello, hello.
Maybe.
They probably will. That could have been our headline. Tickets are selling fast to this limited capacity edition of Adelaide's most popular music festival, so make sure you don't miss out.
WOM Adelaide celebrating 30 years of world music and dance, March 11 to 14 in Botanic Park. Book your tickets and see the full lineup at womadelaide.com.au.
Unstoppable, our Fran. 89 and still knocking down those pins week after week. How do you do it, Fran?
By knocking back enough milk, cheese and yogurt day after day.
Makes sense. Dairy matters for strong bones. After all, it can decrease your risk of fractures in old age by 33%. Find out more at dairy.com.au/unstoppable.
Yes!
Oh, stop it, Fran. Now you're just showing off.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes to 8. John Blake coming up in a moment. Our weekend real estate wrap also. First, let's check weather. 16 right now outside on a mild Monday. 23 is as warm as we're going to get. The rest of the week, they'll start feeling like summer again. 28 tomorrow, 32 Wednesday, 30 on Thursday, 31 Friday, 32 Saturday and 31 on Sunday. 32 on Saturday is perfect drive-in weather. The last ever session of the mainline drive-in at Jeps Cross. We've got tickets, thanks to Variety, all this week. 2 carloads of tickets to give away. We'll give them away to people who can correctly identify who's in the boot. The movie star hiding in your boot to try to get into the mainline drive-in. We might just play a little clue. Here's clue number 1. It's clue number 1.
Bit of Wakata guitar in
Your
the background
chance
there.
to win after 8 o'clock today. We'll have more clues for you, and you need to identify the movie star in the boot. 8223 0055 is the number to have plugged into your phone. All right, it's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
Hello.
Hello, Premier Malinauskas.
Morning, Stephanie.
I've got your morning schedule. Can I bring it in?
Sure, bring it in.
Right.
What have we got on today?
Well, I think you should address your election promises.
Oh, yes.
Now, the first one on my list is the extra 100 doctors you promised.
Oh, yes, I promised to sort out the ramping problem.
Yes, so you'll need to pick the extra 100 doctors.
Okay, whereabouts are the doctor trees?
Out in the backyard, of course.
Oh, yes, well, can you get a few of our staff and go out the back and pick 100 doctors off the doctor trees, please?
Certainly, Premier.
Oh, that was easy. And have them start work at the RAH immediately.
Okay, no problem.
Don't know what Marshall was carrying on about. There's no shortage of doctors.
No, they grow on trees.
Of course they do. Knowing him, he probably didn't water the doctor trees properly.
No. Now, unfortunately, Premier, we didn't plant any nurse trees in time.
What do we need nurse trees for?
Well, for every doctor you pick off the doctor tree, you'll need 2 nurses.
Oh, what?
Well, with extra doctors come extra patients, and that means more nurses to take care of them.
Oh, but that wasn't one of my promises.
It's a flow-on effect, you see, Premier. And by the way, nobody thought to plant an orderly bush.
A what?
An orderly bush. You need to grow some orderlies to transport the patients, move equipment.
Oh, we didn't plan that very well.
And the resource manager vines aren't ripe yet.
Do we need resource managers?
Of course, Premier. For every extra doctor, you
Yeah,
have...
all right, don't go into it. What else?
Well, the PCA palms haven't matured yet.
PCA palms?
Personal care assistant. For every extra doctor...
Yeah. What else?
Well, there's been a very lean crop of ambulance driver and paramedics.
Oh, it was going so well. How can I I break an election promise so early and still have people like me?
Well, it's okay, Premier. If there's an extra 100 doctors, that's an extra 100 patients, and there aren't enough beds in the hospital.
Oh, well, that's lucky.
Yes!
Well, from John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. Let's talk real estate. Susanna Toop from Toop and Toop is on the line. Morning, Susanna.
Morning, guys.
So, Susanna, international borders open today after being shut for almost 2 years. Do you think that'll have any effect on the property market?
I know today's a big day. International students, backpackers and migrant workers are now able to come into Australia if they are double vaccinated. And before the border shut in 2020, there were about 20,000 international students studying and living here in Adelaide. So we do think that this, with the borders opening now, that it is going to have a big impact on the rental market. Because what's going to happen when everyone now starts to come back into Adelaide for work and for uni, they're going to need somewhere, of course, to live when they first get here. And even if they are eventually looking to buy because they're moving over permanently, they're absolutely going to need a rental property just to tie them over until they are able to buy something. So we are anticipating even more people now looking out there for rental properties with the borders opening.
But we've seen those stories in the paper of, there was a story last week in the Tiser about a poor young woman who was sleeping in a car in a McDonald's car park because she couldn't get into a rental property. Like, do you expect that this will make it there'll be more hardship stories as a result of this sudden influx of people?
I think, unfortunately, there will be, because when you're looking at more and more people coming into the rental system looking for property, I mean, we had 150 people looking last week alone, and that number's only rising. I think the bit where the relief will be felt is when more properties come on, there's more developments that are coming through. If investors are buying up, which they are at the moment in Adelaide, there is a very active pool of investors really focusing on Adelaide at the moment. And, of course, those properties will then come into the rental market, which is what we're anticipating throughout this year. So it is right now a real crux. There's not a lot of property on the market and all of this demand coming, but we do see that it should start to ease sort of throughout this year as investors do become even more active.
Are there properties that are empty though? Like thinking about those big high-rise places like in, around West Terrace and so on. Like, are there a lot of places that are just specifically set aside for students that have just been sitting there empty for the last 2 years?
In the CBD, we've absolutely seen two types of markets. A lot of the apartments in the city have been vacant. A lot of landlords have been getting creative with putting them on Airbnb, which hasn't been amazing either with not a lot of travel. But absolutely, there has been an oversupply of apartments in the city. It is really tricky, though, when you've got family and kids and things. And so coming into a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in the city, even though they have been available with schooling and all those types of impacts, has been tricky. But a lot of people have been trying to get a bit more creative with location just to tie them over for the last sort of 12 months, and even for the next 12 months, if it isn't your dream suburb or where you're looking to get into, trying to look at maybe some sort of alternative accommodation just to buy you some time to get through this real crux of that lack of supply and a lot of demand in the system, because we do see that it'll start to ease off. Rents will still probably stay where they have been. We don't see that prices are going to necessarily come back, but it's certainly the supply side of things that should eventually keep up with this level of demand that we are seeing.
Susanna, great information. Thank you very much for that. Susanna Toop from
Susanna.
Toop and Toop Real Estate. Really interesting stuff. It's a minute away from 8 o'clock. 5AA News is on the way, and our first election at 8 coming up thereafter.
What's on your bucket list? Writing a best-selling novel? Sailing around the Bahamas? Flying over the Antarctic? Before you plan a bucket list, plan your will with Donlan Lawyers. A will, power of attorney and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't, ensuring you and your loved ones are taken care of. For wills and estate planning, contact Donlan Lawyers. Visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list.
For 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. And right now, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 30 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 19 ZB Commodores from $23,990, all with a balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
If you're thinking of a pool in your backyard, just be aware that 2022 spots are filling fast at Rainwise Pools, so you've got to act now because the current demand is unprecedented. And remember, part of the decision process should always be whether the company you're dealing with adheres to the Australian standards of manufacturing and installation.
I'll tell you what, the other part of the decision process should be, are we dealing with an excellent and well-run local business? And you certainly are when you go with Rainwise, which we did. Best decision we ever made. Ross, Darren, the rest of the crew, fantastic people to deal with. We love that they're a family-owned and run local business. And look, when it comes to the key thing, getting the pool into the hole, Rainwise have got plenty of awards under their belt, including the coveted SA's Fiberglass Pool Builder of the Year 2021.
So now's the time. Do your research and lock in a date for your pool to be installed this year. Get in touch with Rainwise now. They'll be able to help you every step of the way. Visit rainwisepoolsadelaide.com.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Cloudy and 23 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
It's not known whether the Queen caught COVID from Prince Charles or from a staff member at Windsor Castle. Her Majesty has tested positive and is in isolation. Royal writer Robert Jobson has told Seven it's a concerning time given she's 95.
She has the best medical staff around her. She will be monitored on a, almost hourly basis, I would have thought. But the fact that she's continuing light duties does suggest that, it is quite mild and that she's had, although it's not been confirmed, we believe she's had 3 jabs, the 2-dose jabs plus the booster.
The state election campaign is officially underway. We head to the polls on March 19 and the key issues are said to be South Australia's COVID response and hospital ramping. Labor leader Peter Malinaskis has told David and Will ramping is out of control.
The difference between ramping now, where it was 4 years ago, is a 485% increase. That's well and truly over quadrupled. And the difference between ramping at a low level and 485% up means ambulances not rolling up on time to see patients when they need it.
A fight in the city on Saturday night has resulted in the arrest of a second teenager. 4 women were treated by paramedics at the intersection of King William and Curry Streets after reports a group of females were fighting with each other. A 15-year-old girl from Salisbury North was arrested nearby, and last night another 15-year-old girl from Greenacres was arrested and charged. Both will face the youth court in April. 2 teenagers have been arrested after allegedly graffitiing a church in the CBD. The Holy Trinity Anglican Church on the corner of Morford Street and North Terrace was targeted just after midnight. Senior Constable Dave Muir says a 17-year-old boy from Frueville and 19-year-old man from North Plympton have been charged.
The man's been bailed to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court later in April, while the youth will front the Adelaide Youth Court later next month.
Dozens of international flights carrying tourists are touching down today as Australia eases its borders. It's been more than 700 days since overseas visitors were allowed into the country. A $40 million Tourism Australia marketing campaign aims to lure international tourists back. Russia and Belarus are extending joint military exercises close to the border with Ukraine as Western leaders continue to warn of a possible invasion. The BBC's Sarah Rainsford reports.
After insisting all along that Russian troops would leave Belarus once these exercises were over, it's now clear they'll stay indefinitely due to what Minsk calls the tension around its borders. It's another strong signal that Moscow is not prepared to blink in this increasingly tense standoff with the West, even as the US and Britain in particular warn of dire sanctions in the event of any invasion. Here in Ukraine itself, there's no panic, but people are making more preparations for the worst.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Matthew Wade has backed Aaron Finch to continue opening the batting for Australia at the T20 World Cup, which begins in October. It comes after the 35-year-old skipper failed to fire during the 4-1 series win over Sri Lanka. His batting average just 15.6. Finch made 8 overnight as the Aussies went down to the tourists by 5 wickets with a ball to spare at the MCG. Well, the Adelaide 36ers have kept their playoff hopes alive following an 82-71 point win against the Cairns Taipans. The Sixers are now sitting in 7th place. Adelaide is hopeful Erin Phillips will still play a big role in the club's push for a 3rd premiership, with scans revealing she sprained her knee in Saturday's 40-point win against GWS. Australian Hannah Green has created history on the golf course, becoming the first woman to win a mixed-gender professional golf tournament. She recorded a 4-stroke win at a tournament in New South Wales, and she says the support she's received has been incredible.
I think because everyone was cheering for me a little bit more than perhaps the guys, it helped me a little bit. Definitely felt the crowd supported me the entire week, so it was really nice to be here.
Meantime, the leading players are well into the back nine on the final day of the Genesis Invitational in California. Chilean Joaquin Niemann continues to lead the way. He's now 6 shots clear at 21 under with just 7 holes to play. 2 games in the English Premier League overnight. Manchester United cementing 4th place with a 4-2 win against Leeds, while Leicester still hasn't won an EPL game in 2022 after going down 2-1 to Wolverhampton. And the Winter Olympics have wrapped up. Australia finished 18th on the medal tally with 1 gold, 2 silver and a bronze. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Croydon got a smash in the lower section of the north-south motorway, just near Torrens Road, causing heavy delays. Avoid that if you can today. Also seeing a few delays around Alberton with sewer maintenance continuing Port Road near Grand Junction Road. At O'Halloran Hill got a breakdown heading inbound on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. Cameras today, Lieberman Road, Para Hills and McIntyre Road at Modbury North. Battery World has been powering Australians for 25 years, from camping and boat batteries to 4x4 and car batteries. Visit your local Battery World today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Cloudy 23 today, sunny tomorrow 28, Wednesday sunny 32. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
If you want to feel great about the milk you pour in your tea and coffee, over your cereal or in your smoothie, make sure it's from the FIVEaa Milk Company. Because it's a great feeling buying from people who love SA as much as you do. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. Whew, feel like a cuppa now.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FluorioMilkco.com.au. Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 minutes after 8. It doesn't, I don't know what to read into it. Probably nothing. We're going to launch our new state political segment following Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads.
What a band.
Just as we drew it up. Breaking at 8 is on hiatus for 4 weeks for the election campaign proper, because we're going to spend a bit of time each and every day just getting you across what's happened.
Well, it's been transformed.
It's been transformed.
Yeah.
Repurposed.
Shifted up a gear.
Exactly right. Just so we can get you across what's happening as the election campaign has now launched properly. Today, of course, a lot of that. We spoke with Peter Malinauskas earlier, and we're going to speak with Stephen Marshall in just a moment. But each and every day, this is your point to tune in and just get across what the latest developments are. What are the promises, where people have been, what they've been doing, what have they been saying. You'll hear it here all for election today. Stephen Marshall will follow very shortly thereafter, and then later, the host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Koch.
SA decides. Election at 8.
Yes.
It's much better than Psycho Killer. We figure, you know what we should do? We should start where the last election ended, the state of play in the lower house where government's formed. 47 seats, 24 gets you a majority. Last time, Liberals, it was 25 to 19 with 3 independents. That changed, of course. Three MPs elected as members of the Liberal Party, of course, now sitting on the crossbenches. So right now, it's 22-19 and 6 is the current distribution of things. So if you're getting in your head, you're trying to work out why there are 4 or 5 seats that are constantly being talked about, well, that's because that's what will ultimately change things.
And the obvious change in the last 12 months is that 3 Liberal MPs moved to the crossbench for various reasons. Sam DeLuc, the member for Waite in the southern suburbs, which is Mitcham, Malvern Way, he had his legal troubles, acquitted in the end of an assault charge involving Connie Benares. He's no longer a member of the Liberal Party. In addition, Fraser Ellis, who is facing misuse of his travel allowance charges I should stress that he vehemently denies and will be fighting in court. He had hoped that the Liberals would stick by him as he maintains his innocence and that he'd be allowed to run, the Liberals chose to pre-select another candidate. Fraser Ellis is having a crack as an independent, and my mail is that he's actually looking pretty reasonable over there on York Peninsula. What a great seat. He's got the entirety of York's to himself. And then the third one, most spectacularly, was Dan Cregan, who quit the Liberal Party in November and said that he'll be running for the Adelaide Hills-based seat of Carville as an independent. I think he's particularly strong, and I would hazard a guess that he will be returned in an area that's got a huge appetite for independence, as evidenced by the seemingly bulletproof Rebecca Sharkey, who's well ensconced now as the federal member for Mayo. I spoke to both Fraser Ellis and Dan Cregan over the weekend. There's a piece in the Australian newspaper this morning, and I think there's a reasonably high chance that we'll have, those of you who remember the 2017 federal election when you had the Rob Oakeshott / Tony Windsor hair twirling that went on for 17 days before we actually knew which party the independents were going to side with. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a similar scenario here. This is one of the key quotes yesterday from Dan Cregan, who said that he wants to create a political contest up here in the hills. He says, "I'm delighted that both major parties are now competing in the seat. It's the only way local communities are going to get the attention we so desperately need." Then, listen to this bit though. "I will have a critical wish list of items that our community just cannot do without. I've offered to sit down and have a pizza with Stephen Marshall, but I'm prepared to talk to anybody who would help my community." And I asked him, "Would you also have a pizza with Peter Malinauskas?" And Dan Cregan said, "If he's buying." Fraser Ellis, I think Fraser Ellis, and well, indeed Fraser Ellis told me, he said, "There's no point trying to fool the electorate. I was a Liberal member for a long time, so I'd suggest they would be very much in pole position when it comes to me lending support to Supply and Confidence. That said, I would be doing my electorate a disservice by not meeting with both leaders after the election, hearing what they've got to say and making an assessment after that." So the option of going either way is very much alive with both of those blokes. And for his part, when I interviewed Stephen Marshall on Friday, he said, "I have exactly the same position I had at the last election. People were saying there was no way I could form a majority government. I put my hands in the people of South Australia. We asked for a majority government. We got a majority government." Will he get one again?
Yeah, will be one to watch on the night, and it sounds like by the nature of how this will play out, it seems actually to me long odds will get a result on the night, given the combination of postal votes.
We might get a totally deceptive result. Remember when everyone thought Trump had won in the canter?
Could be like that.
I actually think what might happen is on the night, Labor might look really good. And then what will happen is all the pre-poll and postal votes and people who are more worried about leaving the house are likely to be older people. And older people skew more conservative than left. So you might actually see that it was 10.8% pre-poll votes last time.
Yep.
I reckon it'll be 20 this time.
And then I start getting counted till Monday.
Yeah.
So with days in limbo. That sets the scene rather nicely, but each and every day after 8, we'll just take you through some of the stories that have developed. That's a good place to start because it gives you a bit of insight into where this thing might ultimately end up. Now, out on our roads this morning, there is a serious issue due to an accident. The north-south motorway is closed for southbound south of Torrens Road. The motorway down to one-lane southbound traffic is diverting onto South Road. The incident causing significant delays. That's the latest from the South Australian Infrastructure and Transport Department. So the state government are advising that due to that accident, the north-south motorway is closed for southbound south of Torrens Road. That's a massive stretch at a very inopportune time of the morning that's going to cause massive delays. So if there are other ways round that you use and you're seeing evidence of overflow and issue, let us know. We'll try to get an idea of the picture and direct people how to avoid it as best possible. 8223 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Big news nationally today is that for the first time in 704 days, international flights are arriving in Australia with people from overseas who just need to be vaccinated. You can travel, you don't need an exemption, you can come here for a holiday and it is music to the ears of Qantas Chief Alan Joyce.
We're going to be bringing 14,000 people in this week. When you go back to last October, we had no international services apart from the flights for repatriation of Aussies and some freighters. This week we'll have 154 flights.
So the capacity's still down. Current bookings running at about 15%. The hope is we'll get to 30% in 6 months' time. The overall figure is pretty jaw-dropping when you look back at 2019, 9.5 million international visitors to Australia. We're a long way off that. We're a long way from getting back to that, but it is starting. Adelaide will have its first international flight with visitors touching down just after 9 o'clock. It's a Singapore Airlines flight. 9 inbound flights to the Adelaide airport this week from Doha, Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. 18 outbounds to the same location. Qantas also running flights to India this week as well. So that's a start to return to things to normality. But between flights returning, the South Road being a mess this morning, we just need one story to round out planes, trains and automobiles. And
have we got one?
We certainly do, because in Sydney this morning, there are no trains.
Yeah, I saw that before.
There are no trains running, not one. There is some services interrupted. There are none. Industrial action has meant that the entire service in Sydney has been brought to a standstill. The Industrial Relations Commission has spent much of the weekend with the Sydney Trains, Rail, Tram and Bus Union, haven't been able to come to an agreement. The Sydney Trains, so the union said to them following the negotiation that guards and drivers wouldn't be performing their shifts. That's why nothing's happening today. And the Employee Relations Minister went on with Ben Fordham on 2GB this morning. He's not happy.
This is industrial bastardry of the worst form. We spent Saturday afternoon reaching an agreement in relation to the issues being raised by the unions. We had a signed agreement Saturday afternoon, not good enough by Sunday. Sunday they changed their mind and we were left with no alternative for the safety of the system. So
absolute disaster. You can imagine what kind of situation that's causing there. We'll speak to Koshy about it. I wonder if he got into Sunrise on time. He probably drives in, I suppose. 18 minutes after 8. Let's talk again about traffic this morning here in Adelaide, because it is a developing story. Is your BMW due for a service? Receive complimentary vehicle pickup and drop-off at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. At Croydon, got a smash in the lower section of the north-south motorway near Hawker Street, down a one-lane city-bound with extensive delays. Avoid if you can. O'Halloran Hill got a breakdown heading inbound on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. Alberton, sewer maintenance there, Port Road near Grand Junction Road, with cameras today, Milne Road, Modbury North and One Tree Hill Road at Golden Grove. Burbank Homes inside-out sale. Start your home with a 10K Bunnings voucher or a home finishing upgrade pack. $1,000 deposit gets you started. Burbank.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It's about the destination and the journey when you experience Victoria's Great Ocean Road. Holiday Wonders presents Paradise by the Sea, a magical 7-day escape along the Great Ocean Road, taking in Australia's most spectacular coastline. Experience the amazing 12 Apostles, the spectacular opening day of Melbourne's International Flower Show, and the Elvis exhibition at the Bendigo Art Gallery. Departs 26th March. Book today. Holiday Wonders, Belair Road opposite Mitcham Shopping Centre. holidaywonders.com.au.
Now, here's some exciting news from Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic. As South Australian leaders in orthopaedics, sports injuries and arthritis care, Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic is pleased to be welcoming patients back for elective surgery.
It's great news, and they've been supporting the healthcare system and the community with South Australia's latest COVID-19 wave, but they're now back at full capacity.
And this means the dedicated team at Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic are working hard to reschedule surgeries across 20 locations throughout metro and regional South Australia. It's a big task, but getting elective surgeries back on schedule is critical.
So if you're ready to get the ball rolling with your surgery, book an appointment with your surgeon or call your GP to discuss the next steps.
Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic, they're committed to keeping you moving. For more information, visit woc.com.au or call 8236 4100.
At Fairmont Homes, we're excited to provide you better value than ever. Build now with Fairmont and receive luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, plus free air for no extra cost. And now for just $3.5K, choose from higher ceilings, solar or SmartStone bench tops. For more information, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. Fairmont Homes are built for life. South Australia. T's and C's apply.
If a new in-ground pool is on your family's radar, do the wise thing and talk to Rainwise Pools. Wise, because Rainwise Pools are a family-run and operated business with strong family values at the core of everything they do. Wise? Because Rainwise pools have won multiple awards here and nationally. Wise? Because Rainwise pools offer a 30-year structural and the new Claw Shield technology on all fiberglass pools. Be pool wise. Visit rainwise.com.au. 2021 Fiberglass Pool Builder of the Year.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes after 8, host of Channel 7 Sunrise program David Koch coming up after 8:30. We've got tickets to give away to the last ever session of the Mainline Drive-In Saturday at Jepp's Cross. We're playing Who's in the Boot? Another clue coming up for you in just a moment. But first, the Premier of South Australia, Stephen Marshall, joins us. Premier, good morning.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
So, Premier, we've got less than 4 weeks until polling day. Is there a danger that your campaign at the moment seems too reactive? Because it feels to us like you're spending much of your time simply responding to proposals that Peter Malinauskas is coming up with.
You've got to be joking. Last week we kicked off the Northern Water Project, which is going to create thousands of jobs in regional South Australia. On Saturday, we announced a program which would have us do the 737 deep maintenance in South Australia for decades and decades to come. We launched the Interconnected with New South Wales, which is the largest renewable energy infrastructure project in Australia. We're committed to a range of programs, including building the Australian Space Manufacturing Park. We're talking about our positive vision for South Australia, which is going to continue to have us employing more and more South Australians and stopping the brain drain. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, my political opponents out there going for a jog, taking a dip, novelty checks, blank checks. I'll leave his campaigning ideas up to him, but we're just getting on to continue to deliver for South Australia, the fastest growing economy in the entire country for the very first time ever.
The issue that really energises our listeners that we get so much correspondence about is the state of the health system in South Australia at the moment. And now we've seen Peter Malinauskas' plan. We spoke about it to him earlier to combat the issues regarding ramping. What's your plan for the next 4 years to fix the ramping situation?
Oh, well, there's a huge amount of work going on at the moment, Will, and you can't do it overnight. Since coming to government, we've been unwinding Transforming Health. We've been building up the capability at Noarlunga, down at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and also out at Modbury. In fact, right across the state in regional South Australia too. But it doesn't happen overnight, and we've had a global pandemic at the same time. So I'm very confident that we have the plans. We've got more than $1 billion worth of upgrades going on to our hospitals at the moment, and of course record expenditure. But coronavirus has put a huge pressure on our health system, just like it has in other states as well. We had a Claude Brown in Victoria until last week or the week before. So it has been very difficult, but we're doing really well in terms of the coronavirus as a state. In fact, the numbers today are also stable, which is great. The numbers in hospital are stable and reducing over where they were a couple of weeks ago, and that gives us real confidence that we'll be able to continue to ease the restrictions, but also get our hospitals back to a normal operating methodology.
We'll put this question then to Peter Malinauskas on his strategy with regard to hospital ramping. I'll put it then to you, based on what you've just told us, that there are plans afoot and things already underway. When does that plan mature into an outcome, and at what point in time can we see significant improvement?
Yeah, so it's been happening continuously since we came to government, Will. I mean, you would have seen the expansion of the Flinders Medical Centre, which was just way too small. It's now the biggest emergency department in South Australia. We've still got 8 emergency departments in South Australia with major upgrades underway at the moment.
But it doesn't sound like you're saying that anything special needs to happen. It's just a continuation of what you've been doing.
Oh, no, it definitely does. But what I'm saying is we've put a lot of plans in place. There's still more to come. We're day 3 of the election campaign so far. Health is going to be important. But we've got to do 2 things, not just health, but also our economy. You've got to have a strong economy so that you can pay for your health services, so you can pay for your roads, so you can pay for your school upgrades, so you can pay for your community sporting infrastructure. That doesn't happen unless you've got a strong economy, or alternatively, the Labor way, increasing taxes. Now, we've reduced taxes since coming to government. We've reduced water prices. We've reduced electricity prices in South Australia, and we've got the fastest growing economy in the entire country, and we want to continue that after the election.
Premier, I caught up over the weekend over the phone with Fraser Ellis and also Dan Cregan, two former Liberals now running as independents, and they've left open the option of talking to Labor in the event of minority government. Are you confident that you can achieve a majority to head that off?
Well, I think that both of those need to make it very clear who they're going to be backing before they go to the election. They're asking people to vote for them in those seats. Fair enough. It's a democracy. Everybody can put their hand up. But I'm pretty sure I know the people in Narungga do not want a Labor government in South Australia. I'm pretty sure the people in Kabul don't want a Labor government. In fact, I don't think either of those two seats, certainly in my living history, have ever voted for a Labor government in South Australia. So my strong message to people is, if you want to continue the momentum, you want to keep building South Australia and making a strong future for yourselves and for your family in South Australia, we need a Liberal majority government continuing after March 19.
So no plans on getting the credit card out to buy people ham and pineapple pizzas after March 19 then?
I got to tell you one thing. I'm not a ham and pineapple person myself.
A purist.
If I elected of Norwood, you'd be lit. You'd be absolutely lit if you put pineapple on a pizza. That would be a disgrace.
They'd put you in the stocks outside Cafe Bongiorno even for asking for it.
Spot on. I think that you'd just be shown the door if you ask for pineapple at any of the great establishments in Norwood.
Stephen Marshall, Premier of South Australia, thanks very much for joining us this morning on 5AA.
Thanks, guys.
27 minutes after 8. Geez, we're getting a lot of texts this morning as the election campaign's kicked off. 0448 08 1395 is the Telstra Stormont Barker text line number. We've got a Faulty Towers dining experience double to give away. It's a fringe show. Spend a night with Basil Faulty. Faulty Towers, the dining experience. You get tickets at fringetix.com.au. We're going to give it to the best call or text we get on all election issues this morning, given that it's the start of the campaign proper. And that's where we've got so many to pick from already. So all the texters have texted us so far are in the running, but if you'd like to call in and have your say, of course, that puts you right up there as well. 8223 0000 is the number. Time for Fuel Watch, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If yours is due for a service, receive complimentary vehicle pickup and drop-off at Glenelg BMW. The cheap spots we've found for you this morning: the X-Convenience, Torrens Road, Croydon Park, $1.59.9. The Liberty, Marion Road, Marion, $1.61.5. The X-Convenience, Bryans Road, Northfield, $1.61.5. Diesel still high in the $1.70s. Cheapest we could find there was the X-Convenience, Main North Road, Jeps Cross, by the drive-in, $1.67.9.
Home renovations can be akin to climbing Everest. Every step of the way can be torturous to reach your ultimate goal. Well, the same could be said for home renovations, but not if you go with Biurban Bathrooms and Kitchens. The team at Biurban have always believed the journey is just as important as the destination. So start your journey with Biurban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit biurban.com.au.
It's a frightening thought. But what if you lost capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm, who makes medical or health decisions? Who gets your superannuation? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes to the letter. Wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Now, this is great news. Genesis Care and Adelaide Oncology and Haematology have partnered to provide integrated cancer care services.
That's right. Genesis Care is the largest provider of radiation oncology services in South Australia, whilst Adelaide Oncology and Haematology has a specialised team of medical oncologists, haematologists and allied health professionals. Together, they provide integrated cancer care and support at all stages of a patient's cancer journey.
Now, what this new partnership means is that they provide an integrated approach to cancer care, whereby each patient has a dedicated team of specialists who tailor treatment plans and care specifically to their needs, which has been widely documented to improve patient outcomes.
Cancer patients in South Australia can now receive access to integrated cancer care and support at all stages of their treatment journey. For more information, call Genesis Care on 8228 6700. That's 8228 6700.
I don't really like talking on radio, but I do like talking about our cows at the Flurio Milk Company. And I love helping support SA dairy farmers. They're a great bunch with beautiful families. They work day and night to produce the best milk in SA. So when you're in the supermarket, look for Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. I'm getting good at this.
Flurio Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FlurioMilkCo.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Cloudy and 23 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
The Prime Minister is wishing the Queen a speedy recovery after she contracted COVID-19. The 95-year-old monarch is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms and will continue with light duties at Windsor Castle. Buckingham Palace says she'll receive medical attention and follow all COVID guidelines. Scott Morrison is confident she'll make a full recovery.
I mean, we do know that people of that age can, depending on the nature of how the illness has impacted them, can pull through, and I have no doubt, and I would certainly hope and pray that that would be the case for Her Majesty, and we wish her all the best.
If Labor wins next month's state election, Peter Malinauskas says his party will fix the current ramping crisis. The election campaign officially kicked off over the weekend ahead of our March 19 visit to the polls. The opposition leader has told David and Will the difference between ramping now and where it was 4 years ago is a 485% increase.
It'd be a foolish person to mislead South Australians and say there will never be an ambulance ramped ever again. But we've got to get back down to a level that doesn't result in us in having the worst ambulance response time in the nation.
The US Vice President admits there is a real possibility of war in Europe if Russia invades Ukraine. Kamala Harris has told the Munich Security Conference it's in everyone's best interests that there is a diplomatic end to the crisis. She says there is a high chance of conflict.
Let's really take a moment to understand the significance of what we're talking about. It's been over 70 years. And through those 70 years, as I mentioned yesterday, there has been peace and security. We are talking about the real possibility of war in Europe.
Trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe will be held today in an effort to diffuse tensions. Australia's spy and intelligence agency ASIO is recruiting. Nine's Brian Wilson explains.
The name's Bond, James Bond.
If you see yourself as a modern-day James Bond, ASIO is in need of intelligence officers and analysts. Director General of Security Mike Burgess says espionage and foreign interference on democracy within Australia has now overtaken terrorism as the nation's main security concern. People from all walks of life are encouraged to apply, with the agency offering a starting salary of around $87,000.
Italy's ambassador to Australia has died after falling from a balcony north of Rome. Francesca Tarioli was found dead outside her house. She's held the position since 2019. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The T20 series between Australia and Sri Lanka has wrapped up in dramatic fashion. Sri Lanka won by 5 wickets, reaching the target of 155 with just one ball to spare at the MCG. The Winter Olympics has officially come to an end at a spectacular closing ceremony in Beijing. Nine's Matt Granland reports.
A flood of athletes in bulky team jackets carrying their country's flag spread out around the Beijing National Stadium to officially bring to a close a Winter Games like no other, where athletes had to undergo strict COVID protocols and stay within a bubble for the entire time they were in China. Australia was led out by three-time Olympian Sammy Kennedy-Sim, marking the end of our most successful Winter Games campaign, with 4 medals, a gold, 2 silver and a bronze. Chinese officials then handing the Olympic flag over to the mayors of Milan and Cortina, Italy, who will host the next Winter Games in 2026.
The Winter Paralympics will begin on March the 4th and run for just over a week. To soccer, Manchester United's hopes of a top 4 finish in the English Premier League have received a major boost following a 4-2 win against Leeds. Scores were locked away at 2-2 before 2 goals in the final 20 minutes sealed the result for the Red Devils.
Bruno Fernandes, the conjurer, away from Strauch. He's played it for Elanga, and Manchester United have the points.
Audio thanks to Optus. There was one other game overnight with Wolverhampton 2-1 winners over Leicester. And in some golf to finish, big-hitting American Bryson DeChambeau is set to reject a big money move to the Saudi Golf League. The 2020 US Open champion says as long as the best golfers are playing the PGA Tour, so will he. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for service? Receive complimentary vehicle pick-up and drop-off at Glenelg BMW.
At Croydon got a smash on the lower section of the north-south motorway near Hawkers Street. It's down a one-lane city-bound with extensive delays. Avoid if you can. Regency Park got a breakdown on South Road near Regency Road. At O'Halloran Hill, another breakdown there. It's heading inbound on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. Cameras this morning, Haynes Road, Tea Tree Gully and Jeffcott Street, North Adelaide. Enjoy no join fees at Zap Fitness. Make this summer your success from only $7.99 per week. Limited time only. zapfitness.com.au. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
23 and cloudy today, sunny tomorrow 28, then up to 32 and sunny on Wednesday. Right now it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
This is Brad. Brad loves his aircon, set to a frosty 16 degrees. But Brad has a problem. He gets the gilts having it on all day. Well, Brad, save your gilts for giving the family frostbite, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free cold air all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Maybe I'll sing next time, Brad. NRGsolar.com.au.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 9. Just listening to Mel's story about the Queen again. She's living proof that you never stop being a mother, isn't she?
Yeah.
Because in the last week, she's bailed out one child and caught a sickness from the other one, which sort of is like a very relatable mothering sort of story, isn't it?
95 years old and still doing the heavy lifting.
Certainly is. Oh, get well soon, Queen.
Absolutely.
22 to 9 behind closed doors. Shortly, we'll catch up with the host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Koch. This Saturday, history will be made. The mainline drive-in will have its very last ever session at Jeps Cross. They're playing Ghostbusters Afterlife. Watch that on the weekend, actually. A lot of nostalgia. Written by the son of the director of the very first Ghostbusters, and has a lot of echoes of that, of the original as well. So it's a really fun one. You can get the whole family along to watch.
What are your
that
driving memories? What I can remember going to the Mitchell Park drive-in that was there on Marion Road near Sturt Road up until the 1980s. We saw a double feature, Mum and Dad and Beck and I when we were kids, in the old Kingswood. I think maybe it was the Mitsubishi Galant by then, but it was Moonraker and
Bond,
the Man with the Golden Arm together. No, the Man with the Golden
Gun.
Man with the Golden Gun.
Yep.
Man with the Golden Arm was a Frank Sinatra movie.
Was it?
I think.
I don't know. I know the Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
We went to, I think the one we probably went to most was the Blue Line at West Beach.
Yeah, of course.
But what my most vivid memory of going to the drive-in was having Mum shield my eyes because they'd misread what the parental advisory warning was on, like, it was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves or something or other. Mum loved Costner, and there was some bits that a little kid shouldn't have watched in that, and I just had her hand going over my eyes on a number of occasions.
That
was
happened
the second
to me.
movie.
My cousin Mike and I, we went and saw Flying High together with Arnie Elaine, and we, much to my chagrin, we got walked out of the cinema in the scene when the topless woman runs in front of the camera when everyone's panicking on the plane.
Oh, right. Well,
She said,
who walked you out? Oh,
Arnie Elaine. She
Oh.
said, "No, that's it. Sorry, boys, we're not watching this filth." And it just put me on the path of the opposite of moral rectitude for the rest of my life, where I thought, when I'm old enough to go and get my hands on Flying High, I'm going to watch the entire film.
Well, the thing that puts you on the right side of morality is getting along this weekend, because what's more, beyond it being a moment in South Australian history, is that all proceeds from the Saturday night showing go to Variety, the children's charity, who we have a great relationship with. And they've said to us, we've got tickets for you to give away over the course of the week. All we're asking of you, our wonderful, loyal listeners, is to go and buy popcorn, choc tops, and everything you might want, because it all goes to Variety.
Yep.
So buy up big, spend up big. They're a wonderful partner of ours. We absolutely love the wonderful work they do, And this is an event that's as much about them as it is, of course, about this moment in South Australian movie-going history. Now, to get along, you need to identify the celebrity in the boot. Who is in the boot? It'll be a movie star. We played this earlier. This was tough. Not sure this gave it away. I tell you what, if you're good enough to get it on the back of this, call in now on 8223 0055. 8223 0055, because I suspect the next clue will make it more obvious. The next clue, and again, first two callers through that get the right answer will get a car ticket to go along on Saturday. Clue number 2. Another musical clue. I want you to think, certainly one of the famous scenes in film, famous ending, bit of a Western sort of a setting.
Do you know the answer?
I know the answer.
I haven't got it yet.
One of the biggest names in movie history. One of the biggest names in movie history.
So it's not David Lynch's Eraserhead then?
No, it's not David Lynch's Eraserhead. This is one that I would say...
seen that
this
film?
might have been one of the most watched... Among our audience, I would suspect this would be up there with one of the most watched films. 8223 0055. Let's take a few, see how we go before we get another clue. I wonder if anyone's got close. 8223 0055. Daryl in Virginia, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm not feeling confident.
Okay, how'd you have a crack?
Samuel L. Jackson.
No, got to go back a bit further than Samuel L. Jackson. There's another clue for you. Got to go back further than Samuel L. Jackson. Bit of a heartthrob, this person. Rhett, good morning.
Morning, how you going?
Good, Rhett.
Oh, you've caught me a little bit off cue, but yeah, I'll just say Mel Gibson.
Not Mel Gibson. Go back a little bit further, albeit
it feels older than that to me.
I shouldn't say a bit of a heartthrob. Let's say perhaps the biggest heartthrob of all time. Kerry in Hallett Cove, good morning.
Hi, guys. Is it Omar Sharif?
It's not Omar Sharif.
Very good backgammon player.
Justin, good morning.
Is it John Wayne?
It's not John Wayne, but I tell you what, for certainly clue number 2, you're getting a little bit closer. Justin, you're getting closer. The film that features this theme, the title has 2 names in it. It's Someone and the Someone Kid. Tim in Hillcrest, good morning. It's not Daniel Larusso. Ralph Macchio is not the right answer. Morning, Tim.
Morning. Is it Clark Gable?
It's not Clark Gable. Buzzer's gone flat. It's not Clark Gable. Thank you, Tim. It's the movie. This person starred in a very famous film. The title of which is a name and the something kid. A name.
Come on. To tap in.
It really should be.
You're 5 metres out with no man on the mark, South Australia.
Meredith, who do you think's in the boot?
Surely.
Is it Rock Hudson?
It's not Rock Hudson, Meredith.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are people hearing the clues while they're on hold?
I tell you what.
Come on, folks.
It's not Rock Hudson, but you got one of the initials right. Justin in Queenstown, good morning.
G'day, how you going?
We're good, thanks, mate.
Who do you think, Justin?
No, it doesn't sound like it. Paul Newman?
No, not Paul Newman. All right.
Give us some other films that he's been in.
Condor, which was the first clue, the first musical theme. He won an Oscar for a directing, but is not known best for directing. Won an Oscar for directing Ordinary People in 1980. Matt, who do you think it is?
Oh, it has to be Robert Redford.
Oh, it would have to be Robert Redford, Matt. Certainly is.
I still see him as the best from a natural baseball film, but he's not a bad second on this film as well.
Yeah, the film to which we're referring, of course, is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But yeah, The Natural is a classic as well. Fantastic actor, one of my mother's favourites. And
he's great in All the President's Men when he plays Bob Woodward.
Yes,
I love that film.
Yeah,
and also a great prison film he made, Brubaker. Remember that?
I've not seen
That was a
Brubaker.
good film. That was a
Well,
good film.
hey, Matt, you're off. You've got a carload to get together to take along to the final ever session of the Mainline Drive-In and to go and see Ghostbusters Afterlife and eat and drink and do all those wonderful merry things because you're supporting this wonderful charity, Variety, the children's charity, who've partnered up with us to get these tickets, get some people in to see this historic occasion and raise as much money as possible. The second caller through gets it right will also get a carload each and every day. We've got 2 carloads to give away. We'll have another celebrity for you tomorrow morning, another movie star to give away. So it's listed throughout the morning for the clues. It's time to check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. You can visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. Croydon got a smash in the lower section of the north-south motorway near Hawkers Street, down to one-lane city-bound with extensive delays. Avoid if you can. Regency Park got a breakdown on South Road near Regency Road. Prospect got a smash there. Churchill Road near Myrtle Street, lights malfunctioning there. And we've got a few cameras about today. Bundy's Road, North Adelaide. Haynes Road, Tea Tree Gully, and Highfield Road at Hillbank. Reboot your weight loss goals in 2022 with WW's new personal points program. Start losing weight today with 50% off at www.com. Hurry, ends midnight tonight. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Under 16 years of Labor, South Australia was going down a rough road. But under the Liberals, the road is a lot smoother, with the biggest government building program in our state's history. A re-elected Marshall Liberal government will continue to build what matters, to create jobs and deliver high-quality healthcare services. Why risk going back to Labor? Together, let's build a stronger future.
Authorised by S. Meldrum for the Liberal Party of Australia, SA Division, Adelaide. Spoken by S. Marshall and M. Munn.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
Have you got a space in your shed, your workshop, or around your home, or in my case, your garden, that is begging to become storage space?
Well, have we got the people for you? Get on to Sharman Shelving. They love turning any space into a storage space. And what's more, it won't just be functional, it'll look smart too.
Certainly will, and it's absolutely a piece of cake getting it done, because Bill or Christine, they'll come to your house, your office, your workshop, or your backyard, your shed to measure it up. Then they'll design, deliver and assemble the perfect storage solution in a great range of colours.
That's right. Goodbye space. Hello storage space. You won't have to lift a finger either. Did you like that?
That was impressive.
It needed some gravity. This is the good news. This is the bit that excites me, is that when you get a Sharman shelf, you don't have to do anything. They take care of it all for you. All you have to do is tell them where you want it. You say over there, and then bang, you've got a Sharman shelf there.
Everyone who comes to my backyard looks at the Sharman shelf and they go, "Where'd you get that? Unbelievable." I'll tell you where I got it. I got it at 402 North East Road, Windsor Gardens, from Bill at Sharman Shelving, because when it comes to storage solutions, everyone needs a little Sharman in their life. Head out there or visit their excellent website, sharmanshelving.com.au, or take a look on Facebook.
Have you tried pork sanchoy bao yet? It's so quick and easy. You just fry up some pork mince, break up a lettuce, and pork sanchoy wow. For more dinner winners, just visit pork.com.au and get some pork on your fork.
Good schnitzels are everywhere, but it's hard to find a schnitzel so big, crunchy and tasty. Survivors have warned, whatever you do, don't eat the day before. St Kilda Beach Hotel schnitzels are cut by the resident butcher. They're rolled in the crispiest crumbs, then deep fried to perfection, all in-house. Take the kids to St Kilda Playground, then cross the road to the St Kilda Hotel for the schnitzel of a lifetime. There's a table waiting for you at the St Kilda Beach Hotel.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Baby, what a big surprise.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
10 to 9. Time to catch up with the host of Channel 7's Sunrise program, David Kosh. What did you, Koshy?
Morning, team.
So, Koshy, we hope you didn't have to get the train into work this morning. What a shambles there in Sydney.
Oh, it is just pathetic at the moment.
just when people are starting to return to the office, a lot of CBD businesses were starting to try and get staff back in today. You've got schools just started, and absolutely no trains, no extra buses, and it was all called at 2 a.m. this morning. So we've been talking to nurses having to cancel shifts because they've turned up at the train station with no trains. You've got kids who have gone to get a train to go to school. Mum and Dad have gone to work, and they're stranded. It's just a schmozzle, and now, to make things even worse, government's blaming the union's blaming the government. They're both accusing each other of strong-arm tactics, but it's that nurse on the front line, it's those kids who are the casualties of this, and it's just so annoying. People are furious in Sydney this morning that they've been given no warning of this whatsoever.
Extraordinary. It's one of the huge differences between Adelaide and Sydney, because here, I mean, most people have the option of driving as a backup in Adelaide, but in Sydney there's heaps of people who don't even have cars and live on train routes deliberately so that they can get from A to B. Exactly right,
And it's such a big sprawling city that they just don't take one train to the destination. They've got to get connections or a train, then a bus, and it's a lot more convoluted. And that's the problem. One little piece of the puzzle falls away, and you might as well stay home. And that's what a lot of people have had to do. They've had to cancel shifts because they can't make it on time. It's ridiculous. So everyone is absolutely fuming.
Confuses this metaphor a bit, but otherwise, Koshy, it's full steam ahead for return to normality in New South Wales at the moment, with restrictions being relaxed and all sorts of things changing on that front. And then nationally, of course, return to international travel today. Is it starting to get to the point that the things that were the markers of COVID and our consciousness of it are starting to become a little bit hidden and unrecognisable in Sydney?
Yes.
I mean, masks obviously are still a thing, but QR codes you don't do anymore, do you?
Well, I have been. My colleagues have been deriding me for about a month, saying, "Oh, you're living 2 years ago," and saying, "No, these are the health orders. You've got to stick and do them." But as it's turned out, we've had no contact tracing for 6 weeks, so doing the Q card was useless. It really flaming annoyed me because you know how you try and do the right thing, and then to realise that it was just useless for 6 weeks. Why would you do it? You feel a bit betrayed on it all. But,
feels like performance art.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the issue in Sydney at the moment. Rules are changing so much. Not wearing masks at your desk finish next week, so that will mean a lot more offices in Sydney will open back up, and hopefully the CBD gets more people in to save all the small businesses that have been doing it so tough. But it's just this move to normalise once again, which, you get Nick Coatsworth on the weekend. I was reading the former Deputy Chief Medical Officer that we all interviewed in the early parts of the pandemic. He now works for the Australian National University in Canberra, saying, well, Omicron has proved it's slightly less dangerous than a bad flu. So I think all of the data is starting to bring some perspective that maybe still being careful, that we can get somewhere back to normal, and hopefully that creates jobs.
Hey, Kosh, you're wearing your Port Chairman hat, and speaking of being careful, seriously, SA Health, did you see Nicola Spurrier said on Friday that even though the MCG and Marvel are going back to 100%, that they're still not sure if that's going to be the case down the road at the Adelaide Oval?
Yes, well, you put me in a...
Come on, have a lash.
Well, as the husband of a Crows director, I'll just point that out with your criticism.
We'll be on a Unity ticket here, mate.
Well, yes. Look, and the fact we've explained that our average attendance last year was 37,000 anyhow. So the only time that we get really sellouts is Showdown, of course, and then probably will be Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. So we're not going, neither the Crows or ourselves will get 50,000 every week and have a chock-a-block. That there will still be plenty of room to distance safely and to move around safely, even in normal home and away games. So I can't see too much of a problem. And, you know, state governments are moving in line quickly. If Mark McGowan can open the border, I think we can have
anything's possible.
Open slather at Adelaide Oval.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good on you, Kosh.
Good on you, Dave.
Well done.
There you go.
Thank you. The host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, at 4 minutes to 9. It's time to go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. Looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. It's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed doors,
13.95. Adelaide's 5AA with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
Yes, here we are again. And it had to happen.
No.
We
Look,
were going so well, and then
adjusting the microphone.
Then we, well, let's move on and not explain to the audience what happened there, Michael.
Yes, good to keep them in the dark, isn't it, Ange?
I think so. Let's not explain anything about that.
Right. Hello, Angie. And what have we got on today?
Well, Michael, we've already started with it, but it's going to be a big show for people to sit at home and scream at the radio.
Oh, really? That sounds like a bit of fun, doesn't it, Ange?
It does, Michael.
But why will people be screaming at the radio?
Because you and I are going to be pronouncing a lot of things incorrectly, which will prove very frustrating for the audience, which will make them scream at the radio.
Right.
Sometimes they might even throw their radio in the pool.
Really? So what sorts of things?
Well, for instance, I've just read, Michael, that after 105 years of production, they won't be making any more Solvo.
Right, no more Solvo.
Yeah, you know that grey, gritty soap?
Oh, yeah, Solvo. Well, why will that make people scream at the radio?
Because for 105 years, everybody apart from you and me pronounced it Solvol.
Right. Well, that's sad, isn't it, that they won't be making any more Solvo?
It is because most households have got a bar of Solvo somewhere.
That's right. In fact, I think I've got one at home.
And we still can't pronounce it properly.
No.
We'll also be talking about tequila because it's World Margarita Day on Tuesday.
Oh, yes, the agave plantations of South America.
Yes.
I saw a lot of that on that show, Narcos.
Narcos?
That's right. They had a bit of that on that show.
And that's another reason people will scream.
Oh, yes, why?
Because it's pronounced narcos.
That's right, yeah.
Because that's what they call people who deal in narcotics in South America, Michael. Narcos.
Right, not narcos.
No, Michael.
Yeah, well, also, this morning, I'm going to struggle terribly and say the word glutinous.
Glutinous?
Yep, that's right.
Is there any such word, Michael?
No, there isn't.
Maybe you mean gelatinous.
Yes, I think I do.
Oh, this is so much fun making people scream.
Yes, but we might need to clean up the way we speak.
Yes, we'll have to wash our mouths out with Solvo.
Hey, congratulations to Andrew from Rosedale. Andrew texted us to say he went to the drive and saw Ghostbusters in the last couple of weeks. Great movie, he says. Andrew, you've got a double pass to go see Fawlty Towers, the dining experience. Spend a night with Basil Fawlty. Fawlty Towers, the dining experience. Book at fringetix.com.au. Time for a headline.
Some mothers do have them. Inspired by Andrew and Charles, Crown creators switch to comedy. Plenty of material.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We should do a serious one. God save the Queen. That should be that.
Absolutely.
Time.
We're out of time. Graham Goodings coming up, and we'll catch you tomorrow from 6.